Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodin, and I am joined by perhaps the most tired Matt Turner, or the most hyped Matt Turner, depending when his pre-workout kicks in, I've ever had the pleasure of podcasting with. Matt Turner, how the devil are you, sir?
Rob Goodwin, I'm phenomenal. I always say copy an A, get an A. Last year during the 5-star Grand Prix playoff, that great show in Cork and Hall, I decided the night before I took the day off work because that's what you do. I use my time off to watch wrestling, Rob. My company does give me a lot of PTO days. So, and I have 7 days off next week to see you. But anywho, so I was like, last year, I remember I took the day off work and I went to the gym beforehand and I watched that show from Cork and Hall last year. I'm like, I'm going to do the same thing. However, this show started a little bit earlier. So, Rob, in order for me to get to the gym on my day before the Stardom show today, which we'll talk about later in the week, on my day off, 3:30, this guy got up. I was in the gym. I walked out of my car at 3:59 a.m. Yes, no excuses not to get to the gym. Came home, fed the cats, had my protein shake ready to go, and was in my chair with 5 minutes to spare in this room, in my new podcast room with the new big TV on the wall. And it was lovely. So show just ended, and I know you have something to do. So it's like, when do you want a podcast? Like whenever you want to go. So I mixed myself a drink, which I thought was just branched chain amino acids, but I forgot it's my own little self-made pre-workout thing. And my face is starting to tingle. So this is either going to be, either going to be more hype than usual, or I'm going to pass out in 20 or 30 minutes. Regardless, Rob, as usual, we are going to keep this thing entertaining one way or another. But brother, I'm great. Great show. We got a lot to talk about because some head-scratching booking decisions. Regardless, I'm excited for the Final Four. I'm excited to see how the rest of the card does shake out. Brother, I'm great. How's things in your neck of the woods, my friend? How was your weekend?
Yeah, my weekend was good, man. I didn't see the Hamamatsu show live. I actually just finished the Hamamatsu show today, simply because I was playing football on Sunday. We then went out for my brother's fiance's birthday Sunday evening. And then what was I doing yesterday? I was doing something yesterday. Can't remember what I was doing yesterday. But yeah, it's been busy. But yeah, it's been a solid weekend. I can't complain. I know that you messaged me after that Hamamatsu show with some basically some question marks over the booking decisions. Now, in a Stardom Cast first, perhaps, Rob Goodwin, your lovely host, I am going to try and be the positivity today in terms of some of the decisions, one decision in particular, which I know you're still questioning. But I think there's a couple of things to really take out of the booking. Now, we're not going to be covering the Corrigan show from today simply because it'll be an 18-hour podcast. So we're going to split the Stardom Cast into 2 episodes this week. This episode, we are going to cover all of the block action. So Kobe, Kyoto, and Hamamatsu, we're going to cover in this show. And then we're going to cover Corrigan Hall. And we are going to cover, we're going to preview the finals. We'll record it on Thursday, but it will come out in your feeds on Friday. So you've got a double helping of myself and Mr. Turner. But, Matt Turner, a couple of things before we start. I understand you were at a baseball game this weekend.
Yeah, I kind of had a bittersweet weekend. I'll kind of get the one negative thing out of the way. My grandfather's selling his house. He's been in that house for like 50 years. I am the stereotypical Italian family where you always have those, you know this, Rob, have those big dinners. They all took place in this house, with my cousins, my brothers, my sisters, my aunt, my uncles, my grandfather, my grandmother. Huge. My grandfather, very well off. It's where I think I get my work ethic from, or at least I try to. Huge house, self-made man. And this huge house just got too much for him, and he's kind of going back and forth and selling it. So next Sunday when I go see him, he's actually selling it. The day he's moving out is the day I fly out to go see you. So it was a little bittersweet. It was a little bittersweet just knowing all the memories that have happened in said house, birthday parties, Christmases. So that was stings a little, but hey, you take a step back and you just got to be grateful for the times you have had. in certain places with certain people. So yeah, that was kind of a little bittersweet. But however, Rob, yes, not only do we go to a baseball game, me and the girls went mini golfing, and I'll just tell you right now, Amber won. Amber
Oh,
was out really close. I don't think me or Lily have beaten Amber in about 7 or 8 years. Lily actually played really well, and I think it was on the second hole. Amber hit my ball on the first try, and it went in. So technically, she got me a hole in one. Was not happy about that, but yeah. So she beat me by 1 stroke. So we did that on Friday night, which was great. And then yeah, we went to a baseball game. Me, Amber, and Lily. We went to go see the local team from over here take on the local team for where I grew up, about an hour and change away. So I was like, I didn't know who to root for. So it's a really great game. It came down to, I think, the final inning where it was like 5-4. It was a 1-run game. It was really good. It was really nice being able to have an adult beverage with my daughter because she is
I
21.
did see this on social media. Nice.
Not much of a drinker she is, plus she weighs about 90 pounds, so she was like 3/4 the way through this Arnold Palmer, twisted tea, and I said, "Alright, it's a 7-inning stretch, let's go get desserts," and she's just like, "Yeah, dad, I need something because, feeling a little tipsy." I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
alright,
fair
I
to
know." I said, "You have the alcohol level as your stepmom because you know my wife's not much of a drinker, as you knew in Vegas from last year because you got her drunk, and, that never really happens because my wife's not much of a drinker." But yeah, it was like I said, it was a little bittersweet, with my grandfather moving out of the house, which we've kind of seen coming over the last few years. But it was a great weekend as always, especially with the fact that I was able to kind of take a half a step back from my 84 jobs that I do and spend some
Mhm.
time with my two favorite people that aren't you and Andy Header. See how I saved myself there? See how I
Stop
saved
it.
myself there?
Stop it, you.
Yeah, but, yeah, it was all in all a great week, and I know you played football, and obviously you're smiling, and I see 2 arms, so, you're sitting, so I just you able to walk or
I will say that I feel great, which is always a bonus. No injuries. We lost 5-0, but that's irrelevant. That's
you're
irrelevant.
okay,
I've
you're safe.
exactly. I'm looking for the positives in my life. So yes, the fact that I have walked home, walked into the house, no limping, no bruising, no broken limbs, no bleeding. It's a positive thing, and I'd like to think, Matt, as well, that hopefully your baseball game went slightly better than Saya Kamatani's. Now, Saya Kamatani did the ceremonial first pitch at the Tokyo, and I'm going to have to try and get this right, the Tokyo Yakult Swallows game, who are part of the Nippon Japanese Baseball League. I believe it's the Japanese equivalent to the MLB. They were playing the Yokohama Bay Stars. They did win, not in any way thanks to Saya Kamatani, who through her social medias we saw practicing this ceremonial first pitch, seemed to be doing really well, far better than Miyu Iwatani, whose entire thing is baseball. But for those on YouTube or Patreon, you can see from this photo, it did not go well. It might be the worst first pitch I've ever seen in my life. Having thrown so many and thrown them so long, I think this might have bounced at her feet. It's honestly quite an achievement how poor this throw is, Matt.
Yeah, again, I agree, I think Mayu's was better, and I think it
Absolutely, that says something.
and you know what's great about, like, these Joshis with these first pitches in baseball? They're in their gear.
Yeah,
Very much like the meet and
absolutely,
greets. Like, when they're full gear, like, not for nothing, I spent, like, $200 to meet Chris Evans at Comic-Con a couple years ago. He was in regular street clothes. I'm like, "Where's your Captain America stuff?" Like,
dude.
commit to the bit, man. Commit to
Absolutely.
the bit. So, I wanna say this, I know you're gonna say, "Well, Matt, that's the colors of the team." Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting green colors
Oh, behave
from
yourself.
some guy. I know you wanna be out of here in 2 hours. That'll take up the whole podcast. But, yeah, I did see this, and I did see the warm-ups, and I tell you what, you gotta give Saya credit. I always say she has been and is consistently one of the best sellers in wrestling. Look at the way on the screen, and if you haven't seen it yet, watch the sell job she does. She
Oh,
absolutely on a scale of 1 to 10, me calling this as a 0, is a positive. It's probably the nicest thing I could say.
good
The
lord.
fact that she sold how terrible this was goes to show you that she's selling all the time, buddy. She's selling in the ring. She's selling that merch. She's selling Stardom World subscriptions, selling tickets, and obviously selling this awful, awful pitch. Mayu Iwatani is definitely laughing at her some way, in some shape or form. I want to say this, Rob. Obviously, Mayu loves baseball. We've seen Mayu do the first pitch. Kamatani, big star, doing the first pitch. Where's the Hazuki first pitch? She's at every baseball game, right? Don't we got to get a Hazuki first pitch coming here soon?
Is the backstop ready for that? Like, I mean, how many gloves is he gonna have to wear? Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. Hadouken. It's just, it's just gonna be too much. Exactly of that. Now, Matt, obviously, before we get into our Patreon and things like that, I took influence from you starting our podcast last week with a dad joke. I have a dad joke for you. Would you like to hear it?
1,000,000% yes, buddy. Yes, I am excited for this. Go ahead, good sir.
Okay, so you have not got to worry about your TV or your devices sort of spying on you because it's your vacuum that's collecting all the dirt. Oh, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Can I volley back, good sir?
Please do. I insist.
No, Rob, you know me. I have this entrepreneur spirit, right? I'm good at sales. I'm good talking
Absolutely,
to people.
yeah.
I kind of figured, let me put this into another side project. So I started my own line of, or I'm going to start my own line of ATM machines. You know,
Okay.
yeah. But I want to do something a little different. Got to think outside the box. So instead of giving dollars, it's only going to give out coins. To me, it just makes sense.
But that's what you tune in for, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we need to make this a genuine segment on the show.
I think we could definitely do it. I do have a lot of my stores for my regular job. As soon as I walk in, they're like, "We need dad jokes. We need dad jokes." I'm like, "Don't you want to hear about things I need to sell and what I need to do?" Like, no, they just want dad jokes. So I come prepared, Rob, with awful dad jokes. So yes, I hope you all enjoy that. That's your appetizer to what we're going to talk about here on the Stardom Cast, right here, Rob Goodwin, on the World of Joshi Podcasting Network.
Indeed. And with mentioning the World of Joshi Podcasting Network, Mr. Turner, tell us, good sir, what is coming up on the Patreon this week?
Alternate commentary, good sir. Alternate commentary that was released earlier this week. I go back to Utami Hayashista's rookie year, 2018 5-star Grand Prix, the final night of action, taking on Konami in Korakuen Hall. They just had a match not that long ago in Korakuen Hall at this year's 5-star Grand Prix. So I figured it would be a fun time to go back to Utami's first run in the 5-star Grand Prix. So that was the alternate commentary that was dropped this past week. Also, this past weekend, my Momo Watanabe, the full review, all 11 matches reviewed, rated, and ranked. That is on your Patreon feed for Momo Watanabe, her run in last year's 5-star Grand Prix. I know there were a lot of people once I dropped it that had messaged me and they're like, they were waiting since I was teasing it. And there was 11 matches, folks. It's tournament season. We cover a lot of stuff here on the World of Joshi Podcasting Network, so I was able to get to it. Thanks everybody for your patience on that. And then more than likely, the homework is 50% done. I'm gonna try to finish the homework the rest of this week and get it on the feed over this weekend. I'm gonna be doing part 1 of a 3-part series of the Surrealism main event. So it's gonna be Surrealism 1 through 4, which will see Suri versus Chur Hashimoto twice. We got Kairi in there. Is Kairi going to show up this weekend, Rob? I don't know. We got some Azumi in there, some Natsupoi in there. So it's going to be a 3-part series. Part 1 of the Surrealism main events. Those reviews will be on your feed more than likely this weekend, my friend. And it should be dropping by the time this drops. It'll be dropped on your feed over at the World of Joe or over the Talk Joshi feed. My interview with Allison Danger, Rob. And as always, I didn't write down any topics. We hit record and away we went. And then Allison just tweeted something out the other day that she wants to do a fan Q&A. So if you guys have any Q&As for Allison Danger, we're rebooking Allison Danger back on the feed with a fan Q&A. So if you have any questions, comment section below or shoot me up on the social media. So a lot of great stuff as always, Rob, as that we never sleep, buddy. We're just always working over on the World of Joshi Podcasting Network.
You are not wrong, good sir. Patreon.com/World of Joshi or www.worldofjoshi.com. So, very, very quick disclaimer. If you haven't seen up to Hamamatsu, obviously don't listen to this podcast because we are literally diving straight in with the spoilers. So please bear that in mind. There's just a couple of bits of news I want to go into before we go into these shows. Matt, we might as well talk about it. We now, obviously, we definitely know the semi-finals, but we know who has progressed from the blocks. Some interesting booking decisions. No Kamitani, no Momo Watanabe, no Utami, no Sayaka Kurara, no Aya Sakura.
May
from
Sarah, who they were
May
pushing
Sarah.
red. I'm going to get a red and white belt match. I'm like, oh, you're definitely making the playoffs. So yeah, you're absolutely right, buddy. But I tell you what, again, I'm not. You know who's in the final four. We're not going to spoil it.
Nope.
I'm excited for this final four. Don't know which way it's going to go. We'll talk about it more on part 2 of the Stardom Cast podcast this week. Which, by the way, then Rob, are we bringing back dad jokes again?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All right, be prepared, folks.
Absolutely.
But yeah, not the blocks we thought we would get. And I will say this, I just finished the Cork and Hall show. Walker Stewart's commentary really tied up a lot of issues I had with certain people going as far as they did. And I was like, oh, that actually makes sense. So the booking does make a little more sense than I originally thought. Again, the matches have been fantastic, no doubt about it. I do like how, again, looking at this block, you have 3 big champions in the tournament. Suzu, your red belt champion, Hanan, your wonder champion, and Azumi, your one half of your Goddess of Stardom champion. So yeah, interesting to see how it went. Obviously, everybody's predictions were completely out the window.
It has absolutely rinsed people's pick'ems. Congratulations to the one person out of the entire field who said that Ruaka was going through. So congratulations to that one person. I don't know who it was because I can't see who it was at the moment, but congratulations.
Yeah, and Karen Peterson, remember when everybody had a Tommy versus Saya, maybe some Momo in there, but when Karen sent me Azumi versus Starlight Kid, and then Sunday morning when I was like, this is the block, and I was like, we might get Azumi versus Starlight Kid. Now, Rob, again, you know who's going into the finals. So last night, right before I went to bed, I made a quick TikTok video of my predictions, and I picked Azumi versus Starlight Kid. I'm like, okay, this is what it's got to be. And consistently wrong, brother.
Absolutely. What's better than consistency, good sir? Yeah, I must admit, when you messaged me, because at that point I didn't know the results, it was an interesting one to look at, because if you'd have told me that Kamitani and Momo wouldn't have made the playoffs, I'd have assumed that it was because one of them had got involved in the other's match, or one of them had cost the other, or there was some sort of progression with that storyline. Obviously, we knew Utami was eliminated beforehand, so that final that a lot of us had was already out of the window. So I was looking at it and going, these are some strange booking decisions. Couldn't understand why Ruaka went through. I didn't quite understand why Rina Yamashita needed to go through, even though I thought she did very well. I thought there was a couple of big cards left on the table. And then once I'd sort of thought about it for a bit and started watching the show, I was like, well, Rob, you and Matt have already talked about this. When we had Kamitani running through the field as Red Belt champion, you had massive conversations of who is the babyface that is on a level with Saya Kamitani. You've got Saya Kamitani, who is this insurmountable heel. Who is the babyface that is going to match that?
Wolfpack Death.
Exactly, Wolfpack Death. Absolutely. Woo! You know, we talked about how Starlight Kid was almost there, how Natsupoi was almost there, but aside from Syuri and maybe Micah, there wasn't really anyone. And then we've talked on and off about pushing new talent and giving new talent the opportunity to shine. It can't always be about Kamitani. It can't always be about your big hitters. And even though, for example, and I'm going to use Ruaka as the example because I've got such praise for Ruaka after that Hamamatsu show. I really have. Give her the opportunity. Let her sink or swim. Okay, let's see how you are going to perform in this sort of situation. Okay, Sayurida, let's see how you are going to perform in this situation. The same with Hanako, for example. Give these women the opportunity to flourish, to shine. And if they connect with the audience, if they resonate through their match quality, then you can attach a huge rocket to them and skyrocket them up the card. That is what this tournament feels like it's been about, rather than focusing on the ready-made story of Kamitani and Utami, which I feel they aren't done with. You've got Kamitani and Momo, which again, they aren't done with. It's a shaky allegiance at best. you can really begin to build someone, whether that is having Starlight Kid ascend just that little bit further from where she is to a bona fide main eventer, whether it is giving Rina that slight push again, massively over, whether it is heating Micah back up, whether it is giving Hanako that push that they so clearly want to give her, whether it is heating Amisori up, giving her the push that we thought she was going to get in the 2023 5-star before her injury. So much as I would have liked to have seen Momo Watanabe and Saya Kamatani in the playoffs, I don't hate this by any stretch of the imagination. And actually, the more I look at it, I was a massive fan of the Amisori and Starlight Kid match in the blocks. I'd be more than happy to see that again. You've got Hanan and Ruaka facing off with each other. They've got so much history. And I think if Ruaka defeats Hanan, again, no spoilers, but if Ruaka defeats Hanan, it's one of the most logical white belt challenges that you're going to have. I mean, Hanan literally debuted and a loss to Ruaka. So, there is history there. There's history throughout the Future of Stardom Championship. You've still got that tease of Azumi and Starlight Kid. You've still got that tease of Rina and Starlight Kid. Maybe you're going to do Micah and Suzu. So I think actually, in retrospect, Stardom pivoting away from Saya Kamatani's stories, which are stories that you can really light the touch paper at any point, really, all the way into into Dream Queendom, focusing on other people, giving them the push. I'm all for that. And as I was watching the Hamamatsu show, again, I haven't seen all of Korakuen yet, watching the Hamamatsu show, I was like, actually, this makes a lot of sense. In an isolated bubble, a Hanako versus Ruaka time limit draw, and I was like, are you absolutely for real? How on earth have they filled 15 minutes? And actually, it was I enjoyed that match far more than I thought I was going to, and it was actually one of my favorite matches on that show.
I think with Ruaka going through, I think that was supposed to be B. Priestley going through, and they just submitted with Julia. We talked about this last week. They had Julia Hart get a lot of her wins, but I think Stardom wanted since Rina Yamashita going through, I think that they want another, they didn't want another non 100% contracted Stardom wrestler in it. They figured Ruaka's over. Let's give her a shot. And Ruaka was one of the most over people in today's Korakuen Hall show. And I'll tell you what, because again, I talked to you on Sunday and I was like, this is really weird. And we were kind of going back and forth. And then Monday, last night, I was looking at the brackets and I was like, this could potentially set up Hanan versus Suzu Suzuki, red belt champion versus white belt champion in Korakuen Hall. Or if Ruaka gets another big upset, it sets up the rematch of the only person Suzu hasn't beaten so far in this year's tournament, Ruaka versus Suzu Suzuki. And Rob, what else I was also thinking is you're going to have 84,000 members of hate in her. If Ruaka does go through, she's overpowered against the champion, right? We have all these members of hate. If we have a big ref bump and we get all these members of hate coming in, who's the one person that may come back in this match to help Suzu out and punch Ruaka right in the throat, Rob?
Of course. I mean, she is due for a comeback, Bozilla. I mean, we are patiently waiting.
She posted pictures of her cat the other day, so I was both like,
both of those cats are adorable. Yes.
Yeah, so I was like, either way, I'll take that. You got Starlight Kid's story here because I was looking at this blue block. I'm like, it's got to be Kid going through, right? It's the most logical. And Starlight Kid's got to go through two of the tallest and strongest members of the roster, and Hanako, if she beats Hanako, and then Amisori. So I was like,
who she's already lost to, by the way.
And that's a great story because everybody loves underdog Starlight Kid. And then you look at Red Stars. Well, so we know Mike is either going to take on Saeed and Azumi. So Mike and Azumi, up until today's show, was probably my favorite match of the tournament thus far. So either they're running that back or we're getting Saida versus Micah. And you know what that's going to be. Boom, 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 And then you have Rina versus Rina and the winner takes on Konami. So that's going to be a great match either way. And again, I finished today's show. I thought it was phenomenal. Do I think it was as good as the 2024 playoff and as good as last year's playoff? No. And that's only because the level of talent on those shows was amazing. But at the same time, Korakuen Hall was sold out.
Yep.
They said standing room only tickets last night, and then I believe they sold all of those. So the crowd was into everything. Everybody was massively over. So again, everybody left happy. We are down to 19 of the 22 sections are either sold out or nearing a sellout for Sumo Hall, with only now 3 matches announced. My guess, Rob, is probably either later today or tomorrow. They'll do one of those press conferences, and we'll probably fill out the rest of the card. What's Utami doing? What is Momo doing? Is Kyrie coming back? I mean, if she's going to come back to Stardom, whether it's a freelancer or full time, this is a great show to show up at. What's Shuri going to be doing? Is she, what's her coming back? Is Spark Rush going to show up? Because they just seem to be everywhere, Rob. So they're announced for West Coast Pro coming up in November. So yeah, it's be interesting to see these next few days to see how the rest of this card shakes out. If they're going to do the 8 to 10,000 people in Sumo Hall. But again, I thought the show today was phenomenal. The crowd was into it. Everybody was over. So again, some of the kind of the head scratching booking things that they did. Again, I still don't. I love to see Utami in there, Saya Momo. It's not what we got. This is what we got. And I tell you what, it was a great playoff show with giving the opportunity to some of these wrestlers that are really not in that level just yet of the Sayas, the Momos, and the Utamis, but showing that when given the ball, they're going to score a touchdown or kick a correct goal or hit a home run or whatever analogy you want to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, fans have every right to be upset that Utami, Saya, Momo, whoever, Sayaka, Karara, didn't make it through to the playoffs. But I think, I know I'm certainly very guilty of this, of sort of being very reactionary and going, oh my God, why have they done this? Without actually waiting to see how it plays out. And obviously with the results today and with the show today, as you mentioned, a lot of it makes sense. And again, we've been crying out for, let's see what this talent can do. Let's give this talent the opportunity. You can't give them the opportunity if you keep, giving Saya the main events or Momo the main events or Utami the main events, and they thoroughly deserve them. Obviously, they're outstanding. But, this is the chance now for somebody to take the ball and run. And whilst I personally think, spoilers, and whilst I personally think it's Starlight Kids to lose now, I'm very intrigued to see who it is in the final that she takes on. I've got an idea of who I think it might be, especially given the block match that we had between the pair on Red Star's side, and that's all I'm going to say. I've got a feeling I know who it's going to be, but again, I'm very, very, very excited to see how the final plays out on the 23rd of August.
Tune in later on in the week, folks. That's your hook for more. Not only we will give you our preview and prediction of the final 5-star Grand Prix show this year, but more dad jokes. So, I don't know what more you want.
Absolutely. One other match that has been confirmed today, and I have included this because it's not a spoiler, really. One match that has been confirmed for Rhea Goku, along with Natsupoi versus Soriano, which has a match graphic match, so it is official, is that for the first time since the 3rd of May, almost 4 months ago, Saya Carrara are going to be defending the New Blood Tag Team Championships. They will have almost held them 300 days when it comes to Rhea Goku. But they are going to be defending those belts against the Ito Respect Army team of Rian and Kikyo Furusawa. I will be honest, Matt. Obviously, this comes off the back of Rian rolling up Aya Sakura. Now, that did infuriate me. I was like, why is Rian getting the first win of the tournament against Aya Sakura when and now it all makes sense. Obviously, this is what I mean. Wait for the story to play out. First time in nearly 4 months that the belts are being defended. I have a feeling that they are going to be getting those belts off of Saya Carrara sooner rather than later, because we want to be elevating these two to bigger and better things. No disrespect to the championships. And I think that Ito Respect Army are some of the most entertaining people on this entire roster.
I saw this match that kind of before they turned the cameras on. They set this up in Cork, and today did they give the date for this?
Yeah, this is Rhea Goku.
Oh, this is this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, the New Blood Championships on. See, they waited. Now they're going to do it on one of the biggest shows of the year, Rob. See that?
Tokyo Square and Itabashi, Rhea Goku.
200 people to almost 7,000, 8,000. So hey, it's
Absolutely.
and what that is it's going to put more eyes on the new blood shows. Hopefully they'll be happening once a month. Now that Stardom's got three, or as we say, tree YouTube channels. By the way, kudos to Stardom putting on Stardom Global and the main Stardom show, putting today's show free on YouTube. I
Yeah.
thought that was a really great advert for all their YouTube channels. But yeah, I mean, with these belts going to be defended on a big show like the finals. I mean, again, this is just a free commercial to drive more people to Stardom's YouTube. Smart business. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of figured once again I saw this when I was getting ready for the show today, that this was announced kind of on the pre-show, and I figured Aya and Sayaka would retain, but we're going to need challengers for O2 line coming up. And I think that Aya and Sayaka, not only that, I think it'd be smart for them to team up again to kind of defend, to see if they can go back to back in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, which would kind of be really cool if they're in the same bracket as Soripoi, or even if they're in the different bracket, like you can make that as your big grand final. So I think it's smart. Obviously, Sakurora had this little bit of a run as the red belt champion. We thought she would have a little redemption run in the 5-star Grand Prix. That didn't happen. Wrong on that one, Rob. Aya Sakura, the last show before the 5-star Grand Prix, nominated herself as captain of Cosmic Angels. Oh, she's definitely going through. Wrong again, Matt and Rob. Wrong again. So I think a good redemption story for them would be them to make them a permanent tag team and have them make a run at O2 line. Whether they win or not, I don't know. But yeah, I like your booking, buddy. I like your booking because I think it makes sense, and I think Sayaka and Aya both feed off each other really, really well. And again, you can always tell that story that they won the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. There's only a handful of teams in Stardom history to do it, and they're one of them.
Let's get straight into these three shows we're going to be talking about today. Then, obviously, we had a triple header over the weekend, running the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th to round out the blocks. We started with night 12 of the 5-star Grand Prix on the 14th of August 2026. This was from Kobe Sambo Hall in Hyogo, to be precise. Attendance of 758, a number which Stardom touted as a sellout. Not only is this a 27.4% increase on the company's previous show at the venue, which was 595 back on the 30th of May, but it also becomes the highest attendance the company has drawn to Kobe Sambo Hall of the 6 shows they've run there. Additionally, this is the first 5-star Grand Prix show at the venue and outdraws both Hyogo 5-star shows from 2025, where they drew 689 at the Kobe Arts Center, and 501 from 2024 from the same venue. So a really, really, really good number for here. Obviously, we are at the tail end, so there are a lot of parameters in terms of eliminations. If Koguma loses to Starlight Kid in the show, she's eliminated. If Yuna Mizumori loses to Sayaka Matani, she's eliminated. Mei Seira, if she loses any match from now until her Utami match, she's out of the tournament as well. Miyu Amasaki will be eliminated if she loses. And Aya Sakura, the hometown girl on this show, if she loses to Suzu Suzuki in the main event, she will also be out of the 5-star Grand Prix. So, in terms of our results, all of these matches are 5-star Grand Prix matches. Start with Blue Stars B. Sayaka Matani moved to 8 points, defeating Yuna Mizumori, who remains on 4 and is thus eliminated from the tournament, pinning her with a Star Crusher in 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Blue Stars A, Hanako moved to 6 points, defeating Rian, who stays on 0 with a powerbomb in 9 minutes and 7 seconds. Blue Stars B, Amisori moves to 6 points, defeating Kikyo Furusawa, who remains on 0, pinning her with like a Thunderbolt in 7 minutes and 56 seconds. Red Stars B, the Mei Seira train does keep on rolling. She moves to 5 points, defeating Lady C, who stays on 2, hitting her with the reverse shooting star, in 4 minutes and 29 seconds, though we'd all love to see that. Blue Stars B, Starlight Kid moved to 7 points, defeating Koguma, who stays on 4. Thusly, Koguma is eliminated. Starlight Kid hitting the moonsault in 9 minutes and 49 seconds. Blue Stars A, Julia Hart moves to 8 points, defeating Miyu Amasaki, who stays on 4 and is also eliminated. Julia submitting Miyu with the Heartless in 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Blue Stars A, Hina moves to 6 points. She defeated Ruaka, who stays on 6 points with the Mad Splash in 11 minutes and 31 seconds. Semi-main event, Blue Stars B, Hanan moves to 7 points, Momo Watanabe to 8, because their match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. And then in your main event, Blue Stars A, Suzu Suzuki moved to 10 points, defeating Aya Sakura, who stayed on 4 with a German suplex in 11 minutes and 55 seconds. So Aya Sakura was eliminated from the tournament in her hometown. Brutal. Okay, Matt. So let's start with our opener, Saya Kamatani versus Yuna Mizumori. A chance for Yuna Mizumori to exact some revenge for last year, where Saya Kamatani rudely destroyed Yuna Mizumori's tropical pineapple glasses. It seems that Saya was far more impressed with Yuna this year than she was last year. Backstage, she did say that Yuna was rotten last year, but this year is far riper or something. There was some sort of pineapple pun, I believe. But yes, I seem far more impressed with Yuna Mizumori's fight in this match, I believe.
Again, really smart Stardom. I believe each and every one of these shows, the first few matches are free on YouTube. So you start this one up, and not only is this match is this the first one, Kamatani, your biggest star in the company, is the first one out. So not only are you hooking the YouTube audience, Rob, you're starting off with your biggest star coming out first. It's warming up the crowd, and she's wrestling Yuna Mizumori, who is a fantastic wrestler. Yuna just gets lost in the shuffle, Rob, of the Starlight Kids, the Sayas, the Sorianos, the Momo Watanabes, the Zumis, and so on and so forth, of how great this roster is. And you forget that Saya Kamatani, Rob, was a former high-speed champion back when she wore red for a little bit before her eventual heel turn. So this is like yeah, it was like 2 or 3. But it was a cool look. Saya's amazing. We love Saya. But this was a great, like, high-speed style match. And then Saya does it. I always call it the Princess Peach from Super Mario 2 float. If you don't know what it is, just YouTube it. For any of you kids that grew up in the 80s and 90s, Super Mario 2 Princess Peach, her power was she just floats in the air. And Saya does this thing where we've seen it so many times before, and she does it here where Yuna goes for a low drop kick. Saya jumps, she just floats in the air and then just comes down crashing onto Yuna Mizumori. I thought it was a great spot. Then there was a spot, Saya goes for the Star Crusher. Yuna gets out and hits a clothesline to the back of the head of Saya Kamatani and then rolls her up in the Tropicana. Wow, we've seen so many upsets in this tournament that we are now conditioned to it. I was like, oh my goodness, are we going to see it here? Saya does a great job kicking out at the last possible second. I was getting ready for work when I had this on, and I was kind of just looking back and forth because I'm like, I'll go back and watch it so I can do my full review. And I'm like, oh my God, is Kamatani going to lose here? But eventually Saya comes out. Saya hits a spin kick, the screw kick, and then the Star Crusher for the 3 count. Great opener, 4 stars for me. I thought Yuna looked terrific here. I thought Saya Kamatani, she can mesh. It doesn't matter if it's the powerhouses of Micah. Doesn't matter if it's the high-speed style of a Yuna or an Azumi. Doesn't matter if it's like the hard kickers of Momo Watanabe. Saya Kamatani is arguably the best wrestler in the world, and she's able to have this style match with somebody like Yuna Mizumori. I thought Yuna, despite obviously not making the playoffs, again, I thought she really upped her stock in this tournament. Again, 4 stars for me, a really great way to start off this show.
Hanako defeating Rian. Obviously, we had the EXV connection here. I believe Hanako, at least, seemed to have something of a soft spot for Rian. Rian, not so much. Just stampity stamp, stamp, stamp on the foot. Paid the price with a powerbomb. What's been your opinion of Rian's tournament? Obviously, she did get her first and only win of the 5-star against Aya Sakura in KBS Hall. What do you think about the way that she's developed during these matches?
Remember last year, Rob, we were kind of scratching our heads why Rihanna's in this tournament. We're like, yeah, she's probably just kind of just trying to fill out the block. But then we're like, okay, they see something that we haven't seen. She really showed out in the tournament from a wrestling perspective. Obviously, since joining the Ito Respect Army and slamming beers a little bit before that, she's doing a great job fleshing out her character, new gear. So she's doing a great job fleshing out all aspects, whether it's the character work, whether it's the entrance, or whether it's the in-ring work. And this is, again, styles make fights, and this is a completely different style because Hanako is so tall, so big, so powerful that Rian keeps going for those foot stomps, and Hanako is like almost playing like reverse whack-a-mole. Like, no, I can't get hit, I can't get hit, I can't get hit. it like the floor is lava for anybody out there that has kids. And then Hanako starts grinding down Rion with the headlock, and then Rion goes to counter wrestling. Hanako goes for that big Harley Race style stalling suplex, but Rion counters it with the stunner, which I really enjoyed, and into the rear naked choke. And then we did see as the tournament unfolded, Rihanna's doing stunners, diving stunners, and diving cutters off the second rope. So now she's modifying the Stone Cold Steve Austin and DDP playbook, which I absolutely enjoy. Rihanna got a couple near falls here with some inside cradles. Hanako eventually hits the short arm lariat and then a huge lariat and then the Kawada style folding bomb for the 3 count. I think this was another solid match. Again, we're getting a lot of Hanako out of this tournament, Rob. I have this at 4 stars. And I will say this, I know you've only seen a little bit of the Corkin show, and I'm excited to talk about with you on the show coming up in a couple days. My opinion, Hanako Starlight Kid, Hanako's best match. So, and I'm
Interesting.
excited to and maybe in the winner of that on against Ami Sori, maybe their best singles match as well, Rob. I'm excited to talk with you about it later on this week. But I thought Rianne was great here, and again, Hanako just keeps further pushing herself up the card as well. Again, I thought this was a really great number 2 coming on number 2 match coming off that great opener. 4 stars for me.
We then move on to Amisori versus Kikyo Furusawa. Fairly rudimentary victory for Amisori as she went through, or she continued, her journey through the block. Kikyo has done very well, but I don't think we were ever really concerned that Amisori was dropping points here.
No, Amisori used what brought her to the dance, the power. The lariats, the forearms, obviously the chops. Kiku did a great job weathering the early storm, going to the knee. That's basically her basic of the offense with the drop kicks going to the knee, and Ami did a great job selling it. Then even when Ami was like hitting lariats and stuff and slams, she would do a move and then she would kind of stumble back a little, selling the knee, putting over Kikyo Furusawa's early offense. But eventually just too much overpowering of Ami. Again, obviously Ami has the power advantage, the strength advantage, and of course, Rob, the experience advantage as well, as Ami's been in this company since 2022. But Amistar eventually hits the big lariat, setting up the Like a Thunderbolt, putting away Kikyo Furusawa, which was a really solid pro wrestling match. 3 3/4 stars for me.
We then move on to Lady C and Maysera. And despite my earlier call, Maysera did not hit a reverse shooting star press. Although if anyone is capable on this roster, it's Maysera. She pinned Lady C with the reverse shooting star. Different move. Very, very different move.
She did hit a move we'll talk about in a little bit that she hits almost as often as the reverse shooting star press. I was gonna text you as soon as it happened. I'm like, I know Rob's not watching live. I don't want to spoil it. But I'm like, oh my goodness. Oh my, even a broken clock's right twice a day. This was really good. I had my fun with it. I wish it went a little bit longer. We always say, Rob, when you have the 5-star Grand Prix, you're gonna have 1 or 2 matches from these shows. It's gonna suffer from time. Unfortunately, this one did. And I understand there's kind of low stakes in this one because obviously Lady C is eliminated. Maysara has to run the gamut in order to qualify for the finals. I wish this would have went longer because we've seen these 2 in tag matches and 6-person tag matches on these quote unquote Stardom World shows over the last few years have really great chemistry as you have the size and strength advantage of Lady C versus the speed and technique of Maysara. And that's what we got. Eventually, though, it's Maysara kind of being able to use that high speed style that's able to trip up Lady C a little bit, and Maysara hitting the shooting star roll up for the 3 count. 3.5 stars for me, my friend.
Starlight Kid and Koguma then. Koguma is another one who I'm going to be showering with praise because her match with Momo Watanabe at KBS Hall I thought was absolutely sensational. And here, again, you forget that these 2 were sort of stalwarts of that 2021 high-speed division. And despite the fact that Kids very much ascended into the main event scene, when given the opportunity to don that high speed hat and doing it against someone as accomplished as Koguma, you are going to get very, very good matches. And this was another sort of match that's going to go under the radar when we do our top 5 matches of the tournament and all that. It's not a match that I think will make the conversation, but it's a really, really good match. A really good match. And it's one that the 5-star has produced over and over and over again this year.
You must be looking at my notes, partner, because literally I had halfway through, I was like, these 2 have great chemistry from their matches in 2021, as you said, for the high speed championship. as well in 2022. If you remember, there was that FWC versus Black Desire little kind of back and forth with the tag belts. Obviously, Black Desire's Momo and Starlight Kid, and FWC's Koguma and Hazuki, where a lot of the story was based off the hatred of Momo and Hazuki. Plus, they hit really, really hard for our entertainment. But you have to remember, Kid is really good and Koguma is really good, and that really shined here. You're absolutely right. Koguma had a phenomenal, phenomenal 5-star Grand Prix. I guess like this one silver lining of Hazuki not being in this tournament is we put a little more focus to Kagama, and she was great, especially being in this block. But I love this match with Kid. They went to a lot of their old school high speed tags or high speed match stuff that we haven't seen in a handful of years, and it worked. You know, they used that stuff from 2021 and 2022 in with some of their new stuff towards the end. There were so many great near falls towards the end. Starlight Kid hits the cross leg Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count, and then the Black Tiger pile driver. Starlight Kid goes for the star suplex. We get the Kuma roll for a 2.9 count. Koguma with a beautiful German suplex. Koguma goes for another German suplex. Starlight Kid, though, hits the Kichan bomb, which she was trying for earlier in the match, and then followed up with the moonsault. So I like the story of the high speed style, again, with these two from 4 or 5 years ago. And then Starlight Kid trying to go to that Kichan bomb. And once she finally hits it, it opens up the door for that beautiful moonsault. This was a great, great pro wrestling match. Had a little bit of everything. Tied it all in with some great selling, great psychology, great story, and the crowd really was into it. Yeah, I totally agree with you, buddy. This one probably won't make our top 5, but I'll tell you what, it is going to be a hidden gem of a match when we go back and talk about this 5-star Grand Prix in the upcoming years. 4.25 stars for me. Loved it.
Miyu Amasaki and Julia Hart, Miyu Amasaki's tournament coming to an end. Am I fair in saying it's been a pretty middling tournament for Miyu? I mean, she's had good matches, but they haven't really ascended into being great matches. And I don't know if that's the block that she's been put in, the partnerships that she's had. I thought a match with Aya was pretty good. Her match with Suzu was really short. I don't really know why. Her match here was okay, but it didn't really feel like there was a lot of heat. And when you look at what Miyu was able to produce with Hanako during the tag title match just prior to the tournament, the heat that she had, the crowd support, it really did feel like Miyu was going into this tournament with all the momentum. And it just feels like any sort of momentum for Miyu was sort of dwindled away as the tournament's gone on.
Yeah, considering like they really started giving her a little bit of a push after last year's 5-star Grand Prix, and she was great in the Cinderella tournament.
Yeah.
Gets the big win. Her and Azumi win the tag belts in front of the largest crowd in Stardom history. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, that Corkin show, she gets the last. It was the last Corkin before the 5-star Grand Prix. She's the one that gets the win, not Azumi. So it really seemed like, okay, we're getting a little bit of a push here, and maybe she'll be one of those ones as we get to the final night is on the cusp of qualifying. And it just didn't seem to happen. And maybe with the B. Priestley injury, that threw a monkey wrench in it, Rob. I don't know. But this was a pretty good match. Again, Julia Hart has had some good matches. Nothing has been stinkers. Nothing by any stretch of the imagination has been 5 stars. She's over. I'll tell you that. I mean, she's supposed to be a heel, and the people cheer Julia Hart, especially since like the second or third match. Every building she's in, she gets massive cheers. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Julia Hart is going to be on that show in Sumo Hall. Rob, my guess is she's already there and she's over. It'll help draw tickets. Again, this was a fun match. It was solid. It was kind of a safe match. They didn't do anything really out of the ordinary, but they didn't do anything that was like really almost like too basic. You had a really great selling here from Miyu. Julia Hart is trying to put her way towards the end. Miyu has some really great fire towards the end, trying to put away Julia Hart. Eventually, Julia Hart just is able to hit that mule kick she does. And then kind of almost out of nowhere, locks in the Heartless, tapping out Miyu Amasaki. It just seemed like once it was a route to get to that third gear, they just went and ended it. And again, maybe it's because of the time, 7 minutes. Again, a good enough match. By no means was it bad. 3.5 stars for me.
Hina and Ruaka then. Hina keeps her tournament hopes barely alive by getting the win over Ruaka here, I should say. What are your thoughts on this one, Matt?
I thought this was great. And by the way, we have to now Hina doing the Usain Bolt Hina Bolt. The move, the snowplow gimmick that she's doing that we christen the Hina hammer.
Hina
because
hammer, yes.
we call it the Hina. We should call it the Hina bolt now.
I
I think
love
we
it.
should. I
Yeah.
think we're gonna start calling that the Hina bolt.
Hmm.
Stardom, if you need T-shirt ideas, you know how to get a hold of us. You know we can do hats. Just think
Yep.
of the towels. Remember the old foam fingers, Rob? Back in the day, I used to have the Razor Ramon. Razor.
Yes.
You can do the Hina
The
bolt
one that
on the
looked
foam.
like a piece of cheese, and it's only until very, very recently that I realized it was a razor blade.
You didn't realize that was a razor
I
blade for
I thought it
Razor
was I
Ramon?
thought it was a piece of cheese,
Oh
like
my god!
legitimately. Well, they were yellow and they had holes in, so I just assumed it was like a piece of Edam.
It's Razor
Oh yeah,
Ramon.
I'm aware
Okay.
now. Yeah,
Anyway,
his
we need
name
the
isn't
Hina.
Cheesy Charlie, is it?
No, they should have.
It should have been,
He did okay at Razor Ramon. I'm not going to tell Scott all. Well, I'll do it as gimmick. Anywho, Rob, bro, um,
bro.
we need the Hina bolts. We need the Hina
Yes.
bolts. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, you kind of a little bit of a head scratcher with Ruaka getting all these wins and going into the playoffs, but you kind of go back and think about it, it all kind of makes sense. And obviously, she's not spoilers, not winning the tournament, but this is a tournament to push new talent. So, and I think they've done a great job. And Rock has been getting over. She really is over in a lot of these crowds. And again, I know we'll talk about the Act City show here as we're building towards the end. Ruaka hits a huge lariat. Hina hits the STO, then uses that to go to the crossface and then transitions to the STF. Love the STF from Hina. Hina hits the mad splash to Ruaka's back. She goes to the top rope for a top rope mad splash, Rob. Wouldn't you know that hate get involved? We get the hate grade here. Ruaka goes for a second hate grade shot, but Rina blocks that with a forearm and a roaring elbow, which I absolutely loved. Hina hits the Hina special and then the mad splash for the 3 count. I love this. This had great heat. The crowd was into it. They were first cheering Ruaka, but then because they love Hina so much, they started booing Ruaka. The crowd made this match so much more fun, and it was really, really a great match. Hina's come a long way in a short amount of time. It only seems like 2 years ago that we're like, Hanan and Rina, those are the big two when it comes to the sisters. And Hina, add her in the mix because she's been getting over in every aspect. And Ruaka as well. This has been a really great tournament for Ruaka to show what she can do in a prime time spot. I wish Hina would have got a little more wins in this tournament. However, she gets the win here. Rob, I absolutely love this one. 4.25 stars for me.
Hanan and Momo Watanabe go to a time limit draw. Now, this is something with. This is my only real complaint about the 5-star Grand Prix this year is that we have been inundated with time limit draws. Like the amount of draws is just ridiculous. And it seems that Stardom are pivoting towards we don't want big talent beating big talent because Kamatani and Momo drew, Hanan and Momo drew, Starlight Kid and Saya drew.
In Cork and Hall. They drew a lot of tickets in Cork and Hall, didn't
Love it. But they all seem to draw with each other. And it's just like no one really seemed to want to pull the trigger on a victory, which seemed really odd. Now, this was a good match, don't get me wrong. I thought it was interesting that they had Momo sort of in control as the bell went. But again, that aside, I thought this match was very, very, very good, as you would expect from the two people in the ring. Just it gets to a point when the time limit draws are, I don't know, just a bit much.
Rob, I do want to say again, Walker Stewart, phenomenal on commentary today. He did say about 4 or 5 times there are no time limit draws in the playoffs, and I just kept chuckling every time he said it. Because I know me and you have been complaining both off and on air, like, oh my goodness, like we understand you're going to get your double countouts in your time limit draws here or there, but like this is the most it's been in a long, long time, literally to the point where it's like, all right, enough's enough. It's a little bit too much. But again, you have to do the correct math to get the people to where you need to go in the block. So I kind of understand that from that aspect. But when you go back and watch this Corkin show, Robbie Walker says it a few times. There's got to be a winner. There's no time limit draws. But I just kept chuckling to myself. You're absolutely right. But this is one of my favorite matches of this entire tournament. I'll tell you right now, I had it 4 3/4 stars. I thought this was tremendous. I almost felt bad for the main event because I'm like, how do you follow this? And obviously, Aya and Suzu did a really great job, but we'll get into that in a moment. This was terrific. And we haven't really seen a Hanan versus Momo big time singles match in quite some time because we're getting towards the end of block action here. And this is all about who's going to have enough points to not only qualify for the playoff, Rob, but who's going to be the seeded? This is if Momo can win out, she gets the number one seed. So this is kind of a must win for Momo and almost a must lose or can't lose for Hanan if she wants to stay in this tournament. As we're building toward, we get great wrestling to begin. Obviously, you have the great technical wrestling of Hanan versus the hard hitting style that is Momo Watanabe. We get to an apron. We get an apron fight here, which Hanan blocks an apron tequila sunrise. And then Momo hits an apron B driver. To the floor we go. Momo starts punishing Hanan on the floor. Hanan then, almost as a defensive move, hits the Hanan special onto the floor, then hits a huge dive, and then hits the MJF Heat Seeker pile driver and that insane DDT she does that Andy Header has christened the Hanalizer DDT. I'm not going to tell him not to name his moves. So I thought that was a really cool sequence after it looked like really Momo was punishing Hanan. Hanan starts hitting all these big moves on the floor to Momo, which is kind of like Momo's thing. So I really enjoy that. Hanan hits a back suplex for a 2 count. She goes for a second one. However, Momo stops the second back suplex, hits a release tequila sunrise, and then a forearm exchange between the two. Hanan goes to the top rope, maybe looking for that top rope famouser. However, Momo stops Hanan on the top rope, hits a top rope Uranagi and the running Samato for a 2 count. Momo hits a head kick, and then, of course, Rob, she's frustrated by Momo's frustrated. She can't put Hanan away just yet. So what does Momo do? She goes for the baseball bat. However, Hanan is able to duck the second baseball bat shot, trips up Momo, 17 roll up, and I bit on that for the finish. I'm like, oh, that baseball bat. We've seen it over the years. Sometimes it comes to bite Momo back in the ass, and I thought it was going to get her here. Great last second 2 count. Momo goes for another baseball bat shot. I'm like, how many more can we do here? The ref sees it and grabs the bat, and I loved it. It's like the first time it hit Hanan, the second time it almost cost Momo the match, the third time the ref's like, absolutely not. So it's like, okay, I like the bending and breaking of the rules here to get more heat on Momo and sympathy on Hanan. And the referee's like, no, enough's enough. So I like the use of the baseball bat here in all three aspects and 3 spots they did. That opens up the door for Hanan to the 2 back-to-back suplexes, and I thought that was the finish. Momo kicks out. Then Momo hits a head kick, a release tequila sunrise. She holds on, and then Momo goes for the peach sunrise as the time expires. Again, I love this. I thought this was great. I thought Hanan's fire, her comeback towards the end of the match, especially with the stuff on the outside, really showed her tenacity in this match and showed how important it was to beat Momo Watanabe and get those 2 points. And I like how Momo towards the end, again, Rob, it's that classic combination she's been using since 2018, that tequila sunrise into the peach sunrise. It got her so many wins in last year's tournament. She was just a half a second off here of getting the win. TLD, again, one of my favorite matches of this tournament, 4 3/4 stars. I thought this was brilliant.
We then move on to the main event. Hometown girl Aya Sakura eliminated from the tournament against Suzu Suzuki. I've thoroughly enjoyed Suzu Suzuki's tournament, even though she's pretty much run the gambit, with an exception of a weird draw with Ruaka, which we're going to talk about in a moment. I've really enjoyed what she's done with the people that she's been put in the ring with. Aya Sakura has had, let's face it, a fairly abject tournament. She came in with a lot of promise, came very similar to Miyu Amasaki, came in with a lot of momentum. But it's matches like this that remind you that sometimes the 5-star is not just about wins and losses. It's about performances. It's about standing up and being counted. It's about, feeling like you belong in matches like this. Suzu Suzuki won, as Suzu Suzuki should. But I think Aya showed a lot here and a lot to be excited about in the future.
Yeah, I like how Suzu is kind of running through the field. She just won the World of Stardom Championship. And it's like, let's see how this 5-star goes. And she's showing why she should be champion, going through everybody in the field, showing that's why she's top dog. So I like that. I like her booking. Obviously, her matches are great at Suzu. And this was great. You knew this was going to be great because styles make fights, and these two have a very hard-hitting style. Not only that, Rob starts off with a big lockup. We get some great chain wrestling. It's only a matter of time before these two start throwing down. It didn't take long at all. These two start throwing down, kick exchange, form exchange. Aya, it's kind of almost powered overmatched here when it comes to the forearm. So she uses a wild forearm throw from Suzu to lock in the rolling armbar into the triangle choke, which I absolutely loved. Suzu comes back with a big running knee strike. Suzu drops Aya Sakura with one huge form. And I love it how Suzu, we've seen these form exchanges go back and forth. Like we love Hazuki mode where she throws a million of them. But sometimes Suzu, when she's in these firefights, she just hits one form and that person just crumbles. And she does like the Stan Hansen cell versus Misawa, like just drops like her opponent does it. So I absolutely love that. Just take that one to knock down Aya. Aya, though, great fight in her hometown, comes back with some kicks and a Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. When Suzu kicks out of the Northern Light suplex, Aya gets arm control again, uses a standard arm bar to transition into the triangle choke. Suzu winds up blocking a head kick from Aya, hits the tequila shot. She goes for the German suplex. However, Aya escapes with a roll up, the Sakura latch for 2.9 count, which a lot of people bid on. But when Aya gets up from the near 3 count attempt there, she's met with the kick trio from Suzu Suzuki and the German suplex, putting away the hometown girl. Fantastic, hard hitting affair. Exactly what you think it would be between these two fantastic wrestlers. 4.25 stars for me, my friend. Which then takes both me and Amber got 7 right. So we go into the 15th. Matt Turner with 61, Amber with 57.
I do love the fact that you keep drawing. It's very apt considering the amount of draws in this tournament. Oh, yes. We move on then to night 13 from the 15th of August. This was in Kyoto, KBS Hall in Kyoto, the beautiful KBS Hall. Attendance of 741, which Stardom did confirm again to be a sellout. It's roughly in line with the previous show the company ran at the venue where they drew 742. So one person managed to sneak in. And then with this 5-star Grand Prix show they ran there last year where they drew 746. So it seems that 740-ish appears to be capacity for KBS Hall. Again, more permutations here for eliminations. Again, Mace Era needs to win to stay alive against Saya Ida. Hina must beat Miyu Amasaki to stay alive. Amisori needs to beat Saya Kamatani, especially if Starlight Kid defeats Kikyo Furusawa, because obviously Amisori has dropped the tiebreaker to Momo Watanabe. Results then, Blue Stars A. Rian gets her first win of the tournament, moving to 2 points, defeating Aya Sakura, who stays on 4, with the Hanaguruma in 12 minutes and 55 seconds. Blue Stars B, Starlight Kid moves to 9 points, defeating Kikyo Furusawa, who stays on 0, submitting her with the Black Tiger Leg Killer in 7 minutes and 53 seconds, and she didn't know it at this point, securing her own qualification for the playoffs. Blue Stars B, Yuna Mizumori moved to 6 points, defeating Hanan, the white belt champion. Might we see a white belt challenge for the Pineapple? Hanan stays on 7, Yuna getting the win with the Supergirl in 5 minutes and 55 seconds. Blue Stars A, Suzu Suzuki moves to 11 points and does qualify for the playoffs. Her and Ruaka, who went to 7 points, ended in a double count out in 8 minutes and 5 seconds. Red Stars B, Mace-Era moved to 7 points, defeating Saya Ida, who stays on 9. Finally, after what seems like many, many, many years of wondering if she'd ever hit it, she finally hits the checkmate for the win in 10 minutes and 27 seconds. Blue Stars B, and this was a fantastic match. Koguma moving to 6 points, defeating Momo Watanabe, who stays on 8 with a German suplex in 12 minutes and 51 seconds. Blue Stars A, Hanako moves to 8 points, defeating Julia Hart, who stays on 8. Hanako getting the win with the JP Coaster at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. Blue Stars A, Miyu Amasaki with probably her best performance in the tournament so far in the semi-main. Moving to 6, defeating Hina, who stays on 6 and is thusly eliminated from the tournament. Miyu hitting the Tenzai in 12 minutes and 23 seconds. And then in your main event, Blue Stars B, Amisori moves to 8 points, defeating Saya Kamatani, who stays on 8 via a reversed Frankensteiner into a pinfall in 14 minutes and 2 seconds. We're going to open with Aya Sakura and Rian. Matt, I've already sort of talked about how at the time I got very annoyed because I'm very pro Aya. And then I was like, oh, actually, yeah, that does make sense, especially after the announcement today that Rian and Kikyo are going to be challenging for the New Blood tag titles.
I'm kind of just looking at my star ratings for this show, and I was like, wow, this is because there's been so much great wrestling around the horn. This was a really really
Really solid
rest,
show. Yeah, it
solid show.
was.
Yeah, I mean, this one again started out with a hot opener. I'll tell you right now, buddy. 4.25 stars for me, and the fact you went 13 minutes, almost 13 minutes with Aya, who's only been wrestling a handful of years, and Stone Cold Rihanna. It goes to show you how quickly the roster is moving up, and hence why they're giving opportunities to other wrestlers to be like, "Hey, shine in this spot. We know we got with Saya. We know we got with Momo. We know where we're going with Utami. Like, give us the opportunity to shine." And these two did. You had some great wrestling, great hard hitting, great, again, I love her offense with the kicks, the forearms, how she uses that to set up for that rolling arm bar. And then Rian's able to get out of the rolling arm bar into a rear naked choke. She hits a crossbody for a 2 count. Rian hits the running Joshi cutter, as I think that's now what I'm going to call it, because I see so many Joshis
Why
doing it.
not? Why
Yeah, I
not?
think we're going to call it the Joshi cutter. Aya with a German suplex for a 2 count, and then Rian ducks a head kick, hits the stunner, and then goes to the top rope and hits a second rope diving cutter, which I've never seen before. Gonna have to break out those Best of Diamond Dallas Page VHS tapes from the 90s, buddy, to see if DDP ever did that one. And then Rian using her roll up the apricot for the 3 count. Again, 4.25 stars. I love this match.
Starlight Kid versus Kikyo, and very similar to the Amisori match, it felt like more of a formality that Starlight Kid was going to beat Kikyo Furusawa. Obviously, Kikyo is Submission Blast, which is her nickname, which is a fantastic nickname. But going against someone who, again, will target a limb in Starlight Kid for that Black Tiger leg killer. How do you think those two styles meshed here?
They worked really well. So they are all trying to one up each other. Like right from the bell, Kikyo knows she doesn't have the experience and the cachet that is Starlight Kid. So she tries to get off to a fast start. The low drop kick to the knee, starts breaking down the knee, slamming the knee off the mat. Eventually, Starlight Kid reverses her own fortune. She starts working over the knee on Kikyo for a salve. And where it really goes south for Kikyo is Starlight Kid with the standing moonsault on the knee. That's where Starlight Kid builds up her offense. Obviously, though, Kikyo does a great job with her comeback, and Kid gives her enough to make it look like there's possibly an upset. But eventually, though, Starlight Kid is able to roll out of the ankle lock with the grounded dragon screw into the leg killer submission, forcing the tap out. This is a nice limb for limb work with obviously Starlight Kid just having too many tools in her tool shed, too many tricks up her sleeves or up her mask, shall we say, Rob, getting the win. 3 3/4 stars for me, good sir.
Hannah and Yuna Mizumori. This was a result I must admit I did not see coming. But I'm all for it. This is what I want from tournament wrestling. Setting up those challenges. Now I know that we have got Amisori certainly in the wings for Hannah and Mace Era potentially at some point going for that white belt as well. Yuna Mizumori is not someone I had challenging Hannah, but now after seeing this very, very quick encounter, it does leave you wanting more. I'm very excited to see this if it does come to pass.
Yeah, we kind of figured going into this tournament, we know that we're going to see an Ami Soy versus Hana match, which they talked about before and during the tournament. But now there's some other potential challengers that we've never really seen in that upper mid card level. Again, Ami Soy, she's challenged for the white belt a few times before. She made it to the playoffs of the tournament last year. She's somebody that has dabbled in the main event. We're seeing new contenders possibly challenge for said belt. And that's what happened here. I mean, this was a really great high speed versus great technical wrestling. These two meshed their styles really well. Yuna fed into what Hanan does really well, and Hanan fed into what Yuna does really well. And looked like when Hanan was going to use her strength advantage onto Yuna and her technique, Yuna is able to escape the backdrop with the Tropicana. We get several near falls back and forth. Didn't know which way it was going to go, which, as you said, Rob, is what you like about tournament wrestling because you can catch somebody here. A 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3. They where somebody just hooks something a little bit tighter or gets positioned a little bit better to get higher angle on the shoulders for the 3 count. And eventually Yuna is able to roll out, hits the Superwoman press, and is able to catch Hanan here for the 3 count. I had this at 5 stars, and I did like how the cameraman purposely got in there when Yuna held up her high speed championship and Hanan held up her Wonder of Stardom championship. So I don't think we'll have like a title versus title match, but maybe they do like a 2 match series where Hanan defends the Wonder Belt and then Yuna defends the high speed championship against Hanan, and maybe you split them that way. I wouldn't say no. Obviously we have a lot of ground to cover between now and Sumo Hall again at the end of the year. I wouldn't mind seeing a 2 match series with these two. 1 match for the Wonder Belt in one match for the high speed championship if that's the way they're going to go. Again, I thought this was really interesting. 4 stars for me, good sir.
Suzu Suzuki and Ruaka. Ruaka stopping Suzu Suzuki going 100% in the tournament. Are you bothered in the slightest at the fact that this is how this match ended? I was initially a little bit sort of confused as to why this was the match that Suzu didn't win. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, Suzu loves a good brawl. So of course it's going to be the member of Hate that catches her on the outside and they both start brawling on the outside. It's literally Suzu's MO. So the more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Yeah, I was annoyed at the time until a handful of hours ago. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah, this was fun. You did have your crazy brawl. That's probably what it was. Like, they were probably like, looked at the run sheet. They had 7 to 8 minutes, double count out. We'll do this, this, and this. You'll do some cheating. I'll come back from the cheating. We'll do just a crazy brawl. And that'll be that. So, it was fun because it was different than the other matches. We had a lot of great technical wrestling, a lot of big bump wrestling, a lot of hard hitting, big selling on the edge of your seat of near falls, which we're going to get into in the next match, partner. But this one was just like, hey, we got 8 minutes. This is the finish they're going to do. I'll see you out there. And that's what happened. It was hard hitting. It was fun. It was fun while it lasted. And we got to see, you're absolutely right. Suzu loves a big brawl. Ruaka's like, oh, I can brawl with the best of them. Suzu's like, I don't know. I didn't win this red belt, by winning like a scratch off lottery ticket. I won this red belt by damn earning it. And eventually, though, this was just a brawl that went too long on the outside for the double count out. I do love myself a double count out from time to time, Rob. 3.5 stars for me.
Suzuki Sairida, versus Meisera and Matt. It is back. I would love to know how many times Meisera has actually successfully connected with the checkmate, and I reckon you can probably count it on one hand. It's a delightful move when it actually comes off.
One of the last times she hit it, Rob, was back when Saya Kamatani was wearing all red, and she won the high speed champions. It might have been the same show that Saya turned heel, because I think it was the round.
It was, yeah.
So that's what the checkmate does. So if Saida turns heel between now and the end of the year, we know that's why nobody wants to hit it. They turn evil. It's like, no, I don't want to go. I'm going to go to the dark side. Emperor, maybe it's May Sarah's the one pulling the strings all along, Rob. That's why maybe she has that fancy new tattoo. And then maybe she's the one that comes out with Vince Russo. High speed bro. It was me, Okada. It was me all along, bro. You politician. So man, yeah, maybe Saya Kamatani and Terry Okada is the new version of Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. These politicians. Anywho, let's get into this match. This was phenomenal. Oh my goodness, this was great. You forget. Obviously, Saya, her base is the power, the strength, where May Sarah's power, her go-to is the speed and technique. You forget that Saida can hang with the best of them when it comes to the high-speed style. You forget May Sarah, when it comes down to it, has one of the most lethal one-strike moves in wrestling with that 1,000-mile-an-hour dropkick. I mean, it just comes at you like launching a full human at your head with that dropkick. So they're able to match each other there. They start off with a forearm exchange, then we go to high-speed style offense, and then we get a few near falls, and Saida's like, enough of this. Tackle, chops. Doesn't take anything too crazy, Rob. It's just like, keep it simple. So it's like, okay, Saida's like, I can hang for a little bit, but if I go too far into this style, May Sarah's going to drown me. So what do I need to do? Oh, tackle, chop, and she slows May Sarah down, which I absolutely love that. May Sarah eventually hits a drop kick, sends Saida to the floor. Now, Rob, you got to keep in mind, we haven't said it in a while. I'm going to bring it back. May Sarah has no knee pads. Before I'd say this spot, May Sarah, no knee pads. She does the running apron drop kick to the floor. As Joey Styles would say, no water in the pool. And she eats it right on the floor. And we're only like 4 minutes in this match. Back into the ring we go. So if missing a running drop kick off the apron to the floor with no knee pads isn't bad enough, what's the next thing to happen? Saida with the Dynamite Kid left arm lariat. Absolutely just clears the clock out of poor May Sarah here. May Sarah comes back with a suplex and a code breaker, but then Ida rebounds off the code breaker with a sliding lariat. We get a forearm exchange between the two, where she's like, May Sarah, why? Why? Obviously, May Sarah loses the forearm exchange. Ida does the top rope shoulder tackle for a 2 count, which I absolutely love. May Sarah comes back. She is able to get out of the way of the Itabashi, or escapes the Itabashi, hits the big running drop kick, Rob, before a 0. Not even a 1 count. Saida won't give May Sarah the satisfaction of a 0. So I was like, oh, how about that? And then May Sarah's like, what? Kicked out at 0? And then Ida hits a huge lariat for a 0. And I love that. I love the adrenaline spots. I know some people like, well, it's no selling. And I see your point, but also you have to understand where you're in this portion of a match that like your adrenaline's kicking in. You go to any football game, any soccer game, any big time fight, when you're getting towards the later rounds, eventually that adrenaline kicks in, showing championship moxa. Ida hits another lariat, goes for the brain buster. However, May Sarah escapes the brain buster. It's a really nice release German suplex. Don't see that from May Sarah enough. And what we don't see from May Sarah enough is the checkmate, which she hits absolutely flawlessly, Rob. And Saida make sure she took that on her neck like she was Kawada in 94. I mean, the way that she buckled for that was just tremendous. Tremendous match. This had everything that you wanted in under 11 minutes. 4.5 stars, one of my favorite matches of this tournament. Again, Rob, Saida, May Sarah, we've seen them tap in the shoulder to get main event matches, a few times here and there. They're not Kamatai, they're not Watanabe, they're not Shuri, they're not Micah. But when tapped on the shoulder, they damn can be. They damn can be. And this is the example right here. I thought this match was beautiful, Joshi Pure Wrestling. Again, 4.5 stars for me.
Koguma, versus Momo Watanabe. This was tremendous. And I said during the primer that Koguma, when given the nod, is capable of having outstanding matches. And we straight away got the Kuma stuff out of the way. Momo sold it really, really well, which she always does. But then we just had an out-and-out slugfest where Koguma, apparently you don't insult the bear, because the moment you insult the Kuma, Koguma turns grizzly. And I quite like that, because this angry side of Koguma led to her going strike for strike with Momo Watanabe, launching her around the ring with these towering German suplexes during the closing stretch. A really, really, really fun match to watch. Surprise victory, but we said, look at who Koguma has got towards the end of the tournament, because you can guarantee that is going to be a slip up. And it was here for Momo. But this was one of my shadow matches of the tournament. Really, really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, I mentioned last week when me and my wife were doing predictions, we just seemed to have the same prediction almost every show. And I think it was like 4 or 5 in a row. We only had like one different. This is the one different. She went with Momo because that's kind of the safe bet. And I went with Koguma. And I figured Koguma would get the win with the Kuma roll, but she didn't. She gets a definitive win, which I do like, because now again, Koguma's been in this company off and on, Rob, for like what, 2017, 2018. I think she was in the finals of the first Cinderella tour. 2015. Okay, so yeah, she's been, and again, she's been dabbling. So she's been full time. She came back right before Hazuki, so she's been full time back with the company for the last 5 years or so. And you forget again what a great wrestler she is, and how, when it comes down to the hard hitting style, she can go with the best of them. And there is not too many more harder hitters in wrestling, all of wrestling, than Momo Watanabe. And she took it to her tooth and nail, which I absolutely loved. We get here towards the end as we're building towards the third part of this match. Momo Watanabe blocks the code red, and then is able to hit a head kick on the Koguma. Koguma comes back with the swinging rear naked choke and a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. Koguma goes to the top rope. We get a top rope fight between the two, which we usually see Momo win, hitting that top rope Uranagi. However, Koguma wins the top rope fight, hits a top rope cutter. That scores a 2 count. Eventually, the ref gets pulled. Momo hits a bat shot and then a head kick for a 2.9 count. Momo Watanabe looking like she's going to put Koguma away, using the baseball bat here to kind of build towards the finish, which we've seen. Momo goes for the Tequila Sunrise. However, Koguma rolls through the Tequila Sunrise and hits not one but two German suplexes. Momo Watanabe fires up, hits a release tequila sunrise, goes for the peach sunrise. Koguma blocks that, hits a shoot headbutt. Sorry, Dave Meltzer won't rate this one. And then the high angle German suplex for the 3 count. You're right, but I absolutely love this. 4.5 stars for me. Really, two phenomenal must see matches back to back on this show. Koguma getting a definitive win over Momo Watanabe. Again, if they want to do a Koguma versus Hanan match for the white belt coming off this, Rob, I wouldn't say no to it. Again, she's another one that, when tapped on the shoulder, can go with the best of them. And that's exactly what happened here. And you got to give Momo a lot of credit because she made sure her selling and her bumping and everything really put Koguma over in the proper way, which again just shows how unselfish of a performer Momo Watanabe was. And again, phenomenal match. Again, 4.5 stars for me.
Does mean Hazuki was wrong with her prediction, though, Matt, that Koguma was going to go the entire way.
Well, I was wrong. You were wrong. My wife was wrong. Andy Header was wrong. I know Karen had Izumi and Starlight Kid in the final. I think she had Izumi winning. I have to double check. So just to see how many more people were wrong, buddy.
Hanako and Julia Hart. Hanako planting Julia with the JP coaster. Again, Julia, considering she's a dirty heel and has the Artist of Stardom Championship, defeated much loved Dream trying for those belts, really quite over. The Japanese audiences apparently really love Julia.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I think this was her best performance of the tournament.
I agree.
This was good. I thought that Julia Hart uses Hanako's size against her, using the rope wop, arm stunner. We said this about Anna Jay 2 years ago. Like, she had a pretty good tournament, and then it really seemed things were starting to click, working that Stardom Joshi style towards the end of the tournament. I think that's what's happened here with Julia Hart. Again, she's been pretty good throughout the tournament, but then here I really noticed something truly special about her, and hopefully she stays in Stardom a little bit longer, working in the dojo, working matches, with the other wrestlers that weren't in her block. I love to see her wrestle a Natsupoi, a Soriano, a Shuri, Azumi, a Starlight Kid. I think she'd really benefit from there. But I like this. Again, I like how she uses kind of bending the rules a little bit, but not breaking them, but using Hanako's own sides against her. Julia with the octopus stretch, I noticed she's been adding that a lot into her arsenal, which I thought was great. Julia Hart really starts kind of dominating Hanako towards the end, goes for the moonsault, misses that, and that is basically spells her downfall. Hanako takes advantage, hits a huge lariat and a power bomb, and then Hanako putting away Julia Hart with the JP coaster. 3.5 stars for me, good sir.
Hina and Miyu Amasaki, then Amasaki getting a win in her hometown to finish off her tournament, and in what is, in my estimation at least, her best performance of the tournament. Hina has just been solid throughout. I've really enjoyed watching Hina's work. A little bit sad she hasn't gone a little bit further in the tournament, a little bit deeper in the tournament, but great way to sign off for both of these women.
I think these two got to the building that day and was like, look, neither of us are going to the playoffs. Let's go out there and put on the best match possible. And I agree, this was Miyu's best match of the tournament. And I think this was Hina's best match in the tournament as well. As much as I enjoyed the Suzu match and all the other matches he's had, I think this was her best match because these two really showed out and really showed like, hey, you're not going to put us through the tournament, but we're going to do the best to steal the show on a show that had a lot of show-stealing matches. I mean, you had Hina starts the match off with 4 slams in a row, Rob. Like, really showing her dominance. I'm like, oh, there's something you don't see every day. That's like a 1970s, early 1980s thing where you're starting your matches off with big body slams, which I thought was really cool. As we're building here towards Miyu Amasaki's comeback, we get a form exchange between the two. Hina hits a judo throw, but then Miyu comes back with a pop-up DDT. Miyu then locks in that neck crank submission that we see quite a bit between the two. Miyu then hits a diving top rope DDT for a 2 count. Then the Miyu special, as I'm calling it, Miyu goes to put away Hina with the Tenzai. However, Hina blocks the Tenzai, hits a big swinging, big ending, and locks in the STF onto Hina. Hina then goes to the Tanahashi playbook, hitting the twist and shout off the top rope. I mean, they're not on the top rope. Miyu is kind of draped on the top rope. Then Hina hitting the twisting neck breaker, shouts out to Hiroshi Tanahashi in his fancy new haircut. Miyu hits the Miyu special and then hits the Tenzai for a 2 count. Miyu goes to the well once too often, goes to the Tenzai a second time. Hina rolls through with the ghetto clutch for a 2 count. Miyu then stops a roaring elbow, hits a huge forearm. I mean, Hina starts throwing these forearms and she sets up for the big roaring, but as she kind of takes her eye off the ball as she spins, Miyu just does her best Suzu Suzuki impersonation. It's one forearm that crumbles Hina. Miyu then hits the cradle DDT into the Tenzai for the 3 count. Again, buddy, I love this match. I thought this was great back and forth. This was great storytelling. You didn't know which way it was going to go. It was paced really well. The crowd was really into it. I actually have it 4.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this one.
And then finally, in your main event, Ami Sourei getting the win over Saya Kamatani. This is exactly what I like in terms of a reversed move into a pinfall, which is ironically completely opposite to the Saya Kamatani match in Hamamatsu, which infuriated me. But this I thought was really, really, really good. Really good. Just the reverse Frankensteiner into the pinfall. That makes sense. We see that countless times. We seem to be seeing more and more hit big impact move, roll over into the pinfall, and it is becoming a little bit jarring.
Yeah, again, we'll get into it in a handful of minutes, buddy. This was great. These two have worked each other before, even back before Sai Kamatani, the heel turn. I mentioned this not too long ago, but one of the forgotten classics in Saya's Wonder Run was against Ami Sourei. I thought the two of them had the two really worked together. We've seen in tag matches and singles matches before that you had kind of have the size and the size and strength of Ami Sourei to go with the technique of Saya Kamatani, and obviously Saya Kamatani knows when and where to pull the crowd. Ami Sourei knows what to do, but Saya somehow makes all of Ami's offense look even bigger. And again, which is a really talent that you want in your top heel. Especially when Ami Sourei hits this black hole slam. I mean, she seemed like she just spinning Kamatani around and around and around. And once Kamatani took almost the same bump for that she did when she had that awful pitch, Rob. I just think that maybe the ring might have been a little bit safer than bumping on grass on a baseball field, but that's just me.
Maybe.
Yeah, Ami Sourei escapes the 360 Star Crusher, hits a short arm lariat, hits a spinning blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Ami Sourei hits like a thunderbolt, and I thought that was going to be the finish. Kamatani kicks out at 2. She goes for another one. Saya is able to escape that, hits a reverse Rana that just drops Ami Sourei right in the back of her neck. We get a forearm exchange. Sai hits a big pump kick. Ami comes back with a huge lariat. And then the ripcord lariat, a little bit of the Rainmaker Okada there. Sai Kamatani then is able to duck a lariat, hits a hurricanrana, but Ami Sourei uses Kamatani's momentum against her, rolls up Kamatani, and again uses the size and strength to keep Kamatani down for the 3 seconds she needs to get the pinfall. I love this match. I love the finish. I love the fighting spirit from Kamatani towards the end. And I thought the finish was just really genius. 4.5 stars for me. Big win for Ami Sourei against the biggest star in this company, one Saya Kamatani.
With that, we move on to the final
5 points for Matt Turner,
Sorry.
4 points for Amber, 66-61 as we go into the final night for the playoffs, buddy.
There you go. We move on to the final NAV block action. Night 14 of the 5-star Grand Prix, 16th of August, and we are in Act City Hamamatsu in Shizuoka. Attendance of 1,011 people. Now, this is a 30.12% increase on the company's previous show at the venue, which was back in April of this year, 777 they drew then. But it is a slight 3.25% decrease on the block finals of last year's tournament when they drew 1,045. That being said, the number is still the second highest the company have brought in to Act City, however, of the 19 shows they've run there. So, big night for a lot of people. Micah needs a victory over Akira to secure top seeding in Red Stars A. Azumi needs Akira to stop Micah winning and then needs to beat Rina to top Red Stars A. Rina needs to beat Azumi to be guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. If she loses, Itsuki Aoki progresses in her place. Meisera just needs to straight up beat Utami, or she's eliminated. Rina Yamashita will only go through if Meisera loses to Utami. Konami and Maki Ito, the winner of that match, will go through into the playoffs, I believe, as the top seed as well. Julia Hart has to defeat Suzu Suzuki to be guaranteed a place in the playoffs, which will coincidentally eliminate Ruaka. A point would be enough if Hanako defeats Ruaka. Again, for those two, if Julia Hart loses to Suzu, a point will be enough to see both women through because Ruaka has the tiebreaker over Julia, as does Hanako. Amisori and Starlight Kid, basically, it's a winner takes all. A winner takes the top seeding in Blue Stars B. However, if Amisori loses, she's out. So it is very much a case of win or bust because she has lost the tiebreaker to Momo Watanabe. Hanan needs to defeat Saya Kamatani. Saya Kamatani basically cannot lose. If she draws, she's through. If she loses to Hanan, she's out. Same with Momo Watanabe. Momo Watanabe needs Amisori to lose to Starlight Kid to progress to the playoffs. With me? Nope. Okay, so we'll move on to the results then. We open with Blue Stars B action. Hanan moves to 9 points, defeating Saya Kamatani, who remains on 8 points, eliminating Saya Kamatani via pinfall, which we'll talk about in a minute, 9 minutes and 56 seconds. Red Stars A, Maika moves to 11, defeating Akira Kuragane, who stays on 1, with the Michinoku driver 2 in 7 minutes, making sure that Maika is your top seed in Red Stars A. Blue Stars A, Suzu Suzuki moves to 13 points, defeating Julia Hart with a German suplex in 5 minutes and 6 seconds. That opened the door in Blue Stars A for Hanako and Ruaka. Hanako, 9 points. Ruaka, 8 points. They both go through as that match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. Julia Hart eliminated. Red Stars B, Utami moved to 7 points. She defeated Mei Seira, who stayed on 7 points and was thusly eliminated from the tournament. Utami gained the win with the German suplex in 11 minutes and 16 seconds. Blue Stars B, Amisori moved to 9 points. She defeated Starlight Kid, who stays on 9 with the Like a Thunderbolt in 11 minutes and 36 seconds, meaning that Amisori goes through as top seed. Red Stars B, Konami defeated Maki Ito to move to 10 points. Maki staying on 8, submitting her with the full body sleeper hold in 13 minutes and 24 seconds. Konami going through as Red Stars B top seed. Maki Ito eliminated. And then in your main event, Red Stars A, Rina moved to 9 points, defeating Azumi, who also stays on 9 points, with the package pile driver in 14 minutes and 7 seconds. Rina leapfrogs Azumi into second place in Red Stars A. Azumi picking up the final playoff place. And we have our blocks sorted, and I will quickly remind you of those in a moment. But Matt, we are going to start with Kamatani versus Hanan. And Hanan apparently channeling her inner Tomoka Inaba by being a bit aggressive to start this match. We'll talk about the finish in a moment because I know neither of us are a fan of this. But the aggression of Hanan towards Saya Kamatani I liked, especially when you consider that these two faced off in last year's tournament as well.
Rob, did you ever see the M. Night Shyamalan movie, The Village?
I watched it on a plane once, yes.
Great movie, awful ending.
Awful ending.
This match, great match, awful ending, and you're like, not only you're like, that shouldn't have been the finish, and wait, Kamatani not only lost is out of this tournament, so you're hit with a double whammy on the opener. And I tell you what, Robin, I apologize to this great roster. It took me a while to get back into the show because like I was literally running on 1 hour of sleep because this is when I went to the baseball game. I came home, took an hour nap, watched this show, went to bed, and then went to Sunday work. So I was like, this really kind of took me out of the show until we get that phenomenal main event. But again, great match. These two just work really well together. I would have loved to seen Hanan challenge for Kamatani when Kamatani was red belt champion, but unfortunately, Hanan won the white belt the same day that Kamatani lost the red belt. But these two seem to work together. If you remember, Rob, they were actually in the semifinals of the 2024 5-star Grand Prix right after the Kamatani heel turn. These two absolutely tore down the house. And I think they were in the same block as well in regular play. So these two really work well together. This was a terrific match. You're right. Hanan was not wish you happy, go sunshine in the beginning. She was out for blood, jumping Kamatani. Kamatani comes back with the big drop kick. We get these two top rope fight between the two. Kamatani with that beautiful top rope Hurricanrana, and then the corner running Yakuza kick and the locomotion Northern Light suplex, scoring Kamatani a 2 count. Hana comes back with 2 back-to-back belly-to-back suplexes, say that 10 times fast, for a 2 count. Kamatani tries for the Star Crusher, gets tripped up into the 17 for a 2.9 count, which I did bite on that finish. I was like, "Yeah, Kamatani's winning because she needs to go through." Saya blocks the back suplex, hits the schoolgirl roll-up into the Blue Thunder Bomb for a 2.9 count, hits the Star Crusher, but as she goes to pin, somehow she just pulls Hanen's legs over her own head, forcing Hanan to go on top of her. And then Kamatani, who hits her finisher that she uses so much over the last handful of years to win tag matches, wonder matches, world matches, hits it on Hanan in a must win match and just decides to pull Hanan on top of her. That's what I got for the finish. Again, great match, terrible ending. And then you're kicking Kamatani out of the tournament. 4.25 stars for me. Again, love the match. Yeah, I already said what I said about the ending.
Bitter Matt Turner, a bitter.
I love Hanan though. She's great. We got to meet her last year in Vegas. She's fantastic. I just don't know. I don't like that as I don't like it when it happens. And 9 times out of 10 when it does,
more and more prevalent in Joshi wrestling at the moment, isn't it?
it's a lot. But when it happens 9 times out of 10, it's not the finish. So if they build to a better finish, I could be like not 100% forgiving, but a little more forgiving. But when it's your finish of a big 5-star Grand Prix match, pinning your big star, the biggest star in Joshi, and thus eliminating her from the tournament before she even makes the playoffs. There's a lot of triple and quadruple whammies I had with that finish.
I think it wouldn't be as egregious if people remembered to sell after the pinfall. Like it's like the move never happened. That's what gets me. I don't care if you've got like a burst of adrenaline, you roll through and you're like, oh my god, a sneak attack, brilliant. But then people just wander off and it's fine. Like sell the move.
It's
Like
a big move. The Star Crusher,
it's
for
the
goodness
Star
sakes.
Crusher.
Goodness
Anyway,
sakes.
goodness sake.
Goodness sakes.
I order. Anyway, let's move on. Maika versus Akira Kuragane. Again, we talked about this with the Kiko Furusawa matches. This was more formality, as I mentioned earlier, with Starlight Kid. Maika needed to win to top Red Stars A, and she did win fairly emphatically against Akira, whose tournament ends with just the 1 point.
Akira saw that Hanan jumped Saya and won. Was like, I'm gonna have some of that. Works for a little bit, and then Mike is like, nope. Tackle, lariat, gets control. Obviously, Akira fires back here with some kicks and some forearms. You kind of knew this was going to be one of the matches that were kind of, you're not going to get that 11, 12 minutes just because we know Akira can't qualify for the playoffs. We know that Mike is going through as well. So, again, this is the match that if you're going to cut one match, this is going to be it. Again, great fire and aggression from Akira. Micah gave a little bit to Akira to see that she can hang with one of the main eventers here, which, hey, good on Micah. Selling the kicks, the forearms, hits that big running knee strike that was a near fall for Akira. Eventually, Micah just uses that big running lariat, huge lariat, open up the door for the Michinoku driver for the tree count, as we say in Scranton. 3.5 stars for me.
Suzuki versus Julia Hart. Suzuki pretty much dispatching emphatically the artist of Stardom champion here. Match went barely just under 6 minutes, and Suzu very little trouble with Julia really here.
I do like how Julia got all of her wins with the Heartless, and they almost kind of came out of nowhere. So Suzu was beating the dog out of Julia, but then Julia comes back with that mule kick and locks in the Heartless to Suzu. I'm like, oh, this is pretty much how Julia's tournament's been going. Then Suzu's just like, not today, Julia Hart. No, 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 not today. Again, I'm the red belt champion for a reason. Once she gets out of that, though, it's just Suzu with the headbutts, the buzzsaw kick, and then the German suplex. Yeah, you're right. I mean, she really, welcome to Stardom, Julia Hart. I know you got a lot of wins here. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. But again, if you go and watch Julia, her progression through the tournament, a lot of the wins that she has, it's surprise Heartless out of nowhere. And that's what happened here. But again, this is our champion, Rob. This is our dominant champion in Suzuki. So 3, I really enjoyed this one. I had at 3.5 stars. And again, I like the story they told, but then just Suzu just beating the dog out of poor Julia Hart. So, but again, I really enjoyed Julia's Hart tournament. I hope she stays in Stardom a little bit longer because I think you're going to see her progressively get better, which ultimately then when she goes back to AEW and they put her on TV, she's going to be better, which then helps out AEW. So, yeah, I'm all for that. But we shall see how the fall months roll around, good sir.
Hanako and Ruaka. This match completely threw me for a loop. I already said at the start, I knew this went to a 15-minute time limit draw, and I was not looking forward to this because, again, I don't find these two compelling together, or I didn't. And then they had this match, and Ruaka apparently massively over in Hamamatsu. I had to double check to make sure it's not her hometown. It's not. She's just massively over. And you know what? She played that crowd like a goddamn fiddle. I thought these two didn't just surpass my expectations. My expectations are a dot on the horizon over there. I thought they had a fantastic match. And the moment that Ruaka realizes that she's gone through in the tournament, and we see that little break of character, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. You can see how much that means to her. And even though her matches have not always been compelling throughout this tournament, I think this was by far her best performance. I thought she was brilliant here. Her constant drive and fight to get out of the Shirasagi. I thought Hanako did very well controlling a lot of the match. The cheating was kept to a minimum, apart from the one hate crate shot. I know that there are people out there that will be like, oh, why's Ruaka got through? Ruaka's not winning the 5-star. Okay, it's setting up a story later on. We know what that story is now for those who've watched Korakuen Hall. And yes, would I have preferred Aya Sakura to go through ahead of Ruaka? Absolutely, of course I would. But the fact that they have given the ball to Ruaka, she's produced a performance like this, has gone through. I personally have no qualms with it. And again, I think this match really, really surprised me. Really surprised me. Because I think Hanako's a bit hit and miss with her matches. She will either be really, really good or just seems a bit formulaic, her matches sometimes, just formulaic big person matches. But I thought she squared off with Ruaka really, really well. And it was paced really well as well.
I think that, I mean, they had to go 15 minutes, so I think they did a good job stretching things out because they know, Hanako can go with the best of them when it comes to get down and dirty. I mean, look at she had roses stapled to her forehead in that hardcore match that they had back at Yokohama. And Ruaka bends and break the rules. So you did have, this was, in the words of Jim Ross, bowling shoe ugly.
Mhm.
Like, and you need it to be where it's like, okay, we got to fill 15 minutes. What can we do so it's not boring? What can we do so it's compelling? What can we do to get the most out of it? And you're right. Ruaka came out and got a massive reaction. We've been seeing her get her bigger and bigger reactions in Korakuen Hall when she was Goddess of Stardom champion. So again, that goes to show you them putting the belts on BMI 2000 and getting them over in that venue was a risk they took, which absolutely hit a home run because now you've built up Ruaka and very much Hanako in this tournament. I think where a lot of people were upset that Ruaka went through to the playoff is, and I even mentioned this to Amber when I showed her on Sunday, I showed her what the brackets were. She's like, how did Ruaka go through, but no Tommy, no Mei Sarah, no Sai Kamatani, no Momo Watanabe? And we know that she's in a different bracket, but at the same time, it's just like, it is kind of head scratching, but again, give the ball to somebody else to see what can happen and go from there. She's massively over. Now, there is two different ways of being over, Rob. It's one thing to be over in buildings like Korakuen and like this building here. Will that eventually equal ticket purchases? We don't know because one thing for you to then to cheer somebody because they're kind of new and it's kind of fresh because we never seen Ruaka really in that main event scene as a single star before. So again, time will tell what they did here from based on crowd reaction and what they did in today's Korakuen show based on crowd reaction on Ruaka was a home run. So where they go from here, I don't know. We'll wait and see. And Hanako, again, is another one that was very close to making the playoffs last year. I think she lost her last two matches and just missed out. So Hanako's another one that they seemingly being wanted to push. I'm a massive fan of Hanako. However, every time I do see her name come up on the screen, I think of the one time you got mad at me on air when I didn't drive the 18 hours to Texas to cover her. And I think it was a Ring of Honor dark match, but that's another story for another day. Again, it was a fun match. And the fact that you had these two really kind of slug it out and you really had a fun ending towards the end, which had the crowd, up, 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 up. And then it's like, you don't know who's going through. And once the announcers are like, because both these wrestlers got over at the end, and the announcer's like, oh, Hanako goes through. and Ruaka goes through. So the crowd's like, I love this match. I thought these two did a great job, and they're rewarded by going through. I don't think I liked it as much as you. I know you don't do the ratings that I do. I had it at 3.5 stars. I still thought it was a fun match. I just think that maybe 15 minutes might have been a little bit too much for them. But again, I think what they're doing Hanako on this push is successful. And Ruaka, when you take a step back, and again, if anybody hasn't watched the Corkin show, watch the Corkin show and then add this to it, and then you'll see what they're doing with Ruaka. Again, 3.5 stars for me, buddy.
Mei Seira's tournament ended in defeat to Utami Hayashishita. And obviously, despite the disappointment, we both had her going through. I think I had her going through as my number one seed, which gives you some indication of how poor my bracket has been. It was a really good match. It was a good time to be a powerhouse wrestler this show, as opposed to one that utilized speed.
Yeah, Tommy does a great job right from the get-go. She must have talked to Saida, because we do know that those two are really good friends in real life. I think Saida was the last person to pin Tommy clean before Tommy left to go to Marigold. So I could have that wrong, but it's not. I know it's not far off. I think it was in Corkin. So she must have said Saida, and Saida's like, look, don't play the high-speed game with her. Take her right out. Goes, well, what should I do? Like, use a shoulder tackle. And Tommy's like, I will. And that's literally how this match starts off. It's a shoulder tackle. It's like, I'm not even giving Mei Seira time to put the car in drive. Like, I'm taking her right out, which I liked. Tommy hits a huge clothesline. She goes to whip Mei off the ropes. And I think Tommy, as soon as she released Mei, Seira was like, oh no, I can't give her distance, because Mei does that gimmick where she runs 1,000 miles an hour, jumps on the second rope and does that drop kick on the way out. And then Utami's like, no, pushes Mei Seira and goes off the top rope. And folks, let me tell you something. If you've never been in a professional wrestling ring before, let me tell you something from somebody that's spent a lot of time on the indies. It is so hard to run in the ring, jump on the middle part of the rope and catch yourself, and then leap out with a drop kick. That's why everybody goes to the top rope corners, Rob, because that's where it's a post. It's not a cable. Mei does that and she hits it perfectly 99% of the time. But I love it how it's like, oh, we've seen it. She's going for it. And Tommy's like, nope, absolutely not. Because again, kayfabe, I think Saida told her, don't let her get going. So Tommy shoves Mei off the top rope. Mei takes this like incredible tornado bump, hits the apron, and then hits the floor. It's like, again, here's your Simpsons reference. It's like that one Simpsons episode where Bart falls out of a tree, hits every branch on the way down. I think like hits a bird and then hits the ground. That's what happened here to poor Mei Seira. We get a fight on the floor here. We get an apron fight. Mei Seira goes, poor Mei Seira. I forgot about this spot. Mei Seira gets the better of the apron fight on Utami. And I was like, oh, that's weird, because like Utami's more of the powerhouse. And then Mei goes for a code breaker. And again, Utami's like, absolutely not. Catches the code breaker and was like, I have her on the apron. What do I do? I'm just going to throw her on the floor. So unbelievable. But then Mei gets the better of Utami. Very much the opposite of what happened the night before. Mei actually hits the running apron drop kick onto Utami. Back into the ring we go. Mei Seira hits the flipping neck breaker and a rear naked choke. Mei Seira then hits a code breaker, but does this one, Rob, inside the ring for safety precautions at this point, scoring her a 2 count. Mei Seira hits a super kick and a German. And then I'm like, wait a minute. She's Germaning Utami. That's her thing. And Utami's like, wait a minute. You're Germaning me. That's my thing. Utami hits a huge lariat and then a release German suplex and then another huge lariat for a 2 count. Mei Seira lands on the feet from the torture rack bomb with a shooting star roll up, Rob. And I thought that was the 3 count. Utami kicks out at the very end. Utami then hits a lariat, torture rack bomb, and then the torture rack bomb into the German for the 3 count. A great match. 4.25 stars. And despite everybody having Utami and mostly everybody having Mei Seira going into the playoffs, obviously we know they don't go to the playoffs, but you got to give these two credit. Match quality wise, Utami was phenomenal and Mei Seira was phenomenal as well. And I thought this was a really great match.
We move on then. Starlight Kid versus Ami Sourei for the bragging rights in Blue Stars B. Winner tops the block, and it will be Ami Sourei that comes out on top. And I loved the closing stretch of this. I thought this was tremendous. Starlight Kid trying for the Momo latch and then getting caught with the Like a Thunderbolt, I thought was absolutely brilliant way to end this match. But as good as this match was, it felt like they were holding something back a little bit. Why might that be, Matt Turner?
It's almost like we're going to come back again and give it to you. When? In 5 years? In 10 years? At the end of the year? for JCW with Vince Russo, bro, booking, or Rob, maybe they're saving it for a show that just happened earlier today. Spoilers. Spoilers. I do want to say, Rob, we did see, and you would know this better than me. Starlight Kid back in her Stars days would use the Momo latch quite a bit when she went to the dark side and discovered thrash metal and vape cigarettes and went to a Wedo tie. That she didn't use the Momo latch quite a bit. We've noticed she's been using a lot even before this tournament and going into this tournament. I think she even pinned Momo Watanabe with the Momo latch, and I like the way she does it. And Rob, I will say this: I like the way these power wrestlers counter it because it makes the power wrestlers look really, really strong. So I like how she uses it on her own accord, and I like how she uses it. Be like, oh yeah, by the way, block that and do this to me because it'll help get you over, which ultimately builds the matchup even more. So I like Momo, or not Momo, Starlight. I do like Momo, all the Momos, Kamomos, a lot of Momos. Bros. But I
Bros.
like Starlight Kid using the Momo. That's the pre-workout is really kicking in. But, as we're getting here again, the psychology made sense. Like Starlight Kid takes it to Ami Sori. Once Ami Sori starts to overpower Starlight Kid goes to the leg, the grounded dragon screw leg whip. She hits the Black Tiger pile driver on the Ami Sori, which was not going to be the last time you're going to see that in this tournament, by the way. Starlight Kid really watching those All Japan 90 tapes because yowzers, there's some scary bumps. But if you go back and watch it, Kid is being safe. We do have Ami Scori hits a huge lariat and a short arm lariat for a 2 count. Starlight Kid escapes like a thunderbolt and then is able to, or goes for the Momo latch. Ami Scori blocks the Momo latch. And this is just great strength. Like literally just picking up your opponent, almost deadlifting them, and then putting them on the shoulder, and then hits the like a thunderbolt for the 3 count. I really like this match. I gave it 4 stars. You're absolutely right, Rob. I was like, this seemed like it hit this beat, but not that beat. It could have more if it did this beat. Seemed like they didn't give us everything that they really could have. And again, folks, spoilers for an episode we're recording later in the week. You will find out why. Again, 4 stars. I enjoyed the match, and I really enjoyed the finish as well.
We move on then to the semi-main event, Maki Ito versus Konami. Konami has low-key been really, really good in this tournament. Really, really good. Since she won the white belt from Starlight Kid, I feel like she has been really, really entertaining. Has got this brand new lease on life. And her and Maki Ito had a really, really, really good match here. There is a moment where she tries for obviously the spray paint, as is her gimmick. And Maki Ito takes it off her and sprays herself in the face as though to go, look how hard I am, look what I can do, this doesn't affect me. And there was a moment where she'd done it and she had a bat to Konami. I was like, this would be so funny if she turns around, just gets rolled up and she loses. Like I was desperate for that to happen for Maki Ito to try and like portray how fearless she was in the face of the spray paint that immediately get rolled up. But unfortunately, no, it didn't happen. But Konami does get the referee stoppage via the full body sleeper hold. And again, I thought this was a fantastic match.
I didn't even think about that for the finish. Back 20 some years ago when we had the Ring of Honor CZW feud, some of the brats in CZW asked me if I would. And I don't think they were serious. They were asking if I would ever do a death match. And I was like, no, like I'll do thumbtacks and tables and chairs, but nothing crazy. But I did pitch a finish where I'm tied up in the ropes and someone's going to hit me with the weed whacker spot, but they have to plug in the weed whacker. And as they get to me, it unplugs and they turn around like what happened. And because I'm a technical wrestler, Rob, I would roll them up and that's how I would win said death match. So obviously that never happened and I will never do a death match. Anywho, Rob, yeah, this was a really fun one. You mentioned Konami, low-key MVP, arguably having the best match of the tournament earlier today. I did have some people messaging me saying it was their favorite match of the tournament. And I, again, cannot wait to talk to you about this fantastic Cork and Hall show later on in the week. But yeah, you wasn't sure which way this was going to go because Konami's somebody that they pushed, obviously, again, beat Starlight Kid, had a great run as Wonder of Stardom champion. Didn't think she'd make it out of this block because we thought there was a lot of the focus was on Ida, May, Sarah, and Utami. And then when it kind of came down to this as almost a shootout, I thought maybe Maki Ito would get the win because she's kind of the newer thing in Stardom and is massively over in everything she does. So I figured maybe she would go through. As far as the wrestling goes, much I love Maki Ito, I think Konami's just a better wrestler. So you did have that hard hitting style towards the end that really put down Maki Ito, but Maki Ito showing a lot of fire, a lot of pizzazz, Rob. Towards the end of the point where Konami can't just help herself, but she's got to cheat. Even when she's like getting the better of her opponents, she still finds the need to cheat. But then, yeah, Maki Ito spray canning her own face. I thought it'd been funny if like after like a minute, like the sweat gets in her eyes and she's like, "Oh, I can't see," and then Konami chokes her out. I thought that would have been the fun finish. We get towards the end here. Maki with the tornado DDT for a 2 count. Konami comes back with a German suplex and then a bridging German for a 2.9. We do have Konami going for the triangle lancer. Ito rolls out into the Ito clutch for a 2.9, which is a great near fall. Konami hits a head kick back in the rear naked choke, forcing Maki Ito to pass out. 4 stars for me, my friend, as Konami gets another win in this tournament.
Tops the seeding as well for Red Stars B. And of course, the main event, Azumi versus Rina. Very, very briefly, Matt, this was my match of the tournament. Very, very briefly.
You know what? This was so good. And this is probably the third best match they've had against each other. As much as I like this match, I like the Corkin match from last year better, and then the semifinal match better. Which goes to show again, when I was kind of doing my TikTok predictions, I was looking at the brackets. I'm like, they're definitely doing Azumi versus Rina again, and regardless, it's a win-win because spoilers, I really like Mike as well. This was phenomenal. Again, Azumi's she's 101, bro. I didn't mean that, bro. She's so good. And again, Rina is so massively over. It's just like heads you win, tails you win with some of these wrestlers. Like it almost like it matters, but it doesn't matter because these two were terrific. As much as I'm a fan of Azumi, which you know I am, I was pulling for Rina in this because I wanted Rina to go through because I know what this would potentially set up again for what I watched earlier today. And these two, again, as great as Rina has been, she's massively over everywhere. She's massively over at the ECW arena. But as great as she is, it's just she's not on that Azumi level, at least not yet. But Rob, I think she's almost right there. I really do. Again, these two just work so well together. Of course, though, we get Azumi eats the chairs and then she eats the post. Eventually, though, Azumi is able to come back with an apron Rana and an apron PK. Azumi then does the tree of woe double stomp and a top rope double stomp for a 2 count. Rina comes back with the Northern Light suplex and the second rope knee bomb, which, by the way, Rob, Walker Stewart called it the Pink Devil knee bomb on today's show. And I was like, I kind of like that. Yeah, I kind of like that. Walker did phenomenal work as always today. Rina with the judo throw and a reverse suplex for a 2 count. Rina then hits the top rope knee bomb for a 2 count. Rina goes for the Pink Devil, and Azumi must have countered this in the last year 5 times. Goes for the Pink Devil. You're clearly setting yourself up for the Kichan bomb, the code red. Like, Rina, maybe stop going for that move only on Azumi. It works on everybody else, but does not work on Azumi. Like back in the 90s, you can't power bomb Kidman. You cannot gory bomb Pink Devil Azumi. Just doesn't work. Azumi hits a destroyer and then a Fujiwara armbar. Rina, excuse me, I do apologize. Rina hits the Pink Devil. Rob, she finally hits the Pink Devil. So what does she do? She goes for it again. So she hits it twice. So it's like, aha, now I got you. That only scored her a 2 count. Azumi escapes the Vertebreaker with the Azumi Sushi for a 2 count. Then Rina stacks the double Azumi Sushi for a 2.9, hits the big boot, hits the Joshi style dropkick, and then finishes Azumi off with the Tiger Lily for the 3 count. 4 3/4 stars for me. Rina may be the MVP of the tournament thus far, Rob, but we are not done yet, my friend. We are not. I think Azusa Inaba locked in, my breakout performer of the tournament. MVP is still really up in the air, but I think it might be Rina. Great friend of the show, Rina.
Agree with you.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. She has been phenomenal. And obviously I haven't quite got to her match or the one match that I'm sure
you do know Rina takes on Konami. That's all I'm gonna say. Wink.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to that.
Because it was Rina and Rina. That was my joke.
Nice. Anyway, let's just have a quick roundup of the blocks then. So Red Stars A, Micah goes through as your top seed. Rina goes through as your second seed. Azumi goes through as your third seed. Red Stars B, Konami goes through as your top seed. Saida goes through as your second seed. Rina Mashita goes through as your third seed. Blue Stars A, Suzu Suzuki just steamrollers her way through. She goes through as your top seed. Hanako goes through as your second seed, and Ruaka goes through as your third seed, her first time going through to the playoffs. And then finally, Blue Stars B, Amisori goes through as your top seed, Starlight Kid as your second seed, Hanan as your third seed, which gives us these matchups for today's Korakuen Hall show that has already happened, but hopefully we don't want to spoil it too much for you. It will be Sayurita and Azumi, with the winner taking on Micah. Rina and Rina, as Matt's already pointed out, with the winner taking on Konami. Hanan versus Ruaka, with the winner taking on Suzu Suzuki. And Hanako versus Starlight Kid, with the winner taking on Amisori. Matt, we've already obviously talked about the blocks. We're not going to predict because there's no point, because we know the results have already happened.
We'd still get them wrong. So
still get them wrong. Still get them wrong. So far, I mean, again, I sort of said at the start that I think Starlight Kid is hers to lose at this point. I think Rina is in with a huge shout. I really do. The amount of support that she has, and the way that, again, she's 19 years old, the talent and aura in that girl, and she is 19 years old, it makes me embarrassed for myself. Like,
don't be, dude. I'm 44 and I'm still loving life. I'm 1 year away from halfway to 90. I'm like, I don't feel old. I don't act it. I'll tell you that for damn sure.
I can't say that. You do not act it.
Neither you either, buddy.
She has more talent in her little finger than I did when I was 19. So again, she's a sensational athlete. It wouldn't surprise me if she wins it either. You've obviously got Azumi in there. You've got Konami in there. Maybe they run Konami against Suzu Suzuki, or Konami versus Starlight Kid. Rerun that white belt feud. Who knows? But those are our our playoffs ahead of the quarterfinals. Obviously, Ryogoku on the 23rd of August, Sunday. Myself and Matt will be back on Thursday to record, Friday to release, with our review of the playoff show and our preview of the final. Matt, do you have an EO watch?
Again, we're recording this literally Tuesday morning. I did not watch Raw because I was in bed early and I didn't see any with EO on the card or anything yet. If EO does pop up, we'll cover it on Thursday's show, but I'll give you the Iggy before that. I don't have an EO watch, but we have a point watch. So we end regular season, Matt Turner at 70, Amber at 64. But as you know, Rob, we do bonus points for people that qualify for the playoffs. Our playoffs were so poor. Remember last year I had all but one right, which was Starlight Kid, who was my overall winner, who might win it this year. I only had 5 right in the playoffs. So I got 5 bonus points. Amber got 6. So I didn't add up the points from today's show, but right now, 75 Matt Turner, Amber 70. We all know those big points towards the end. Nobody's winning because, Azumi's gone, Momo's gone. I don't know. You know what? Amber got, spoilers, Suzu Suzuki. So, she might picked up some points there. I'll add it up later. So she might catch me towards the end. But no EO watch. Like I said, I'll give you the Iggy when I find out later today or tomorrow if EO was on Monday Night Raw.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us. We truly do appreciate it. Again, myself and Matt will be back on Friday to talk the playoffs. Until then, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can find us literally everywhere. Leave us a comment, 5-star review as well. Really helps the podcast out, and it's free. Patreon.com/World of Joshi or worldofjoshi.com. Takes you to the same place for a load of bonus content, as well as all of our show reviews, all of our show previews, as well as all of our archived episodes, ad free as well. Whole host of tiers that you can subscribe to there. Find us on social media at WOJ Wrestling. You can talk to me on Twitter at Real Rob Goodwin. Matt Turner, sounds off, good sir.
Post questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on Instagram and Twitter is the easiest, fastest, and bestest way to get a hold of me. Don't forget, folks, to follow me on TikTok, M Turner over there as well. Or you can shoot me an email, Matt at worldofjoshi.com, as well as the Stardom Cast 22 at gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you. It's like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.